The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. What's happening? Benton here. We road tripping, hitting the road right now. I got a acceptable price on an acceptable room in Amarillo. Rolling out right now. It turned out to be more of a nap. I guess I checked in about 2:30. Hell, it's still the same day. I'm leaving. So yeah, $46 to nap, hang out, drink my eggs this morning, and roll out of town. But yeah, $46. I think she'd have took 40, but I have a policy where uh, I've been annoyed in the past where people just negotiate no matter what happens, and I have a thing where it's like, yeah, if it's a reasonable price, just pay the price. Right? Why do I need to beat up some Indian lady over $6? And local person, support local businesses and such, right? Amarillo's a pretty wild place, man. I have to say, I spent some time here yesterday, going from Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree. And if not for my high level of driver skill, probably would have gotten into an accident. A situation occurred that sneaks up on a lot of folks. I noticed that I was going to turn left on my way to the Dollar Tree. One of them, I think I went to either 4 or 5 of the 9 Dollar Trees. It was at least 4 to find these window coverings. Going to figure out where to get on the interstate, and we're going to ramble because probably I'm going to end up stopping for a coffee as we leave town here, most likely. So be aware of that, please. Thank you. Man, I don't know what I did, but right before I left, I tweaked my back a little bit. Got some like numbness in my left leg. Is this the on ramp? Yeah, hard to tell where the on ramps are sometimes. That's the on ramp. Easy on to the interstate. Doing good. But yeah, for cash, I think she would have just. I think she would have took the 40 and then just not pay the taxes. Cash is still king to some extent, but hey, she's welcome to the $6. Shout out to the chat. Slow burn. Appreciate y'all riding with me. Shout out to Replay Crew. Maybe we'll get into some spiritual topics. I found my cookies at the last Walmart. The last Dollar Tree, the next to last Dollar Tree was right next to a super center. And I'll go back to this almost having a wreck story. Well, it wasn't even close to a wreck, but it could have been, I should say. And found my cookies, man. In fact, that's probably the main reason I took a nap. Is I bought 2 packs of cookies, and there's a lot of these WalMarts have been out of double chocolate. And I thought to myself, man, if I eat these cookies, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm at least going to take a nap. small room, but no bed bugs, comfortable bed. I mean, what else does a fella need, right? So I don't like paying a whole lot more than $40 for a room, but then at a certain point, 50 became the new 40, right? And it's Friday night, so and going to 4 or 5 different Dollar Trees, driving around Amarillo with people are wild, man, driving crazy. But this lady, I was going to make a left turn at this stoplight, and somebody was making a left turn, but like before the light, and then there was a pickup, a white Ford pickup truck behind that vehicle. And it's mostly pickup trucks, of course. And I'm always aware of the possibility of what could happen because invariably that first vehicle will turn, right about the time I'm trying to go around all of this because I don't want to get stuck and just waiting for people to make left turns. I'm going to go up to the light and get a green arrow. So I'm always ready for the fact that they're probably going to turn more or less as soon as I'm going past all this, which was not a problem. And I was alerted to it. I'm watching before, as I'm putting my signal on and I'm going to get over, I'm not even going to enter in the turn lane until it's clear. This is the driving skill part. And it turned out to be a lady, although I would have assumed it was a fella in the white pickup truck, floored it, just completely stomped. So what happened was the people turned, and then the moment they were out of the way, and as I'm looking to get in the turn lane, she stomped the accelerator and just blasted off. So the only way I could even get in behind her, I had to, make sure nobody was on my ass, jab my brakes pretty hard, and then, swing in behind her, which I think she kind of maybe took as an aggressive, like maybe I was mad or whatever. But and we ended up, of course, as things happen, we both went to the Dollar Tree, and then I parked kind of on the side in the shade. What little bit of shade there was. Oh, there's the Loves. I guess I could have stopped there for coffee. Oh well. Once I get out of Amarillo, it ain't gonna be no coffee for a while, I reckon. So that might have been last chance coffee. Although I bet there's a couple more truck stops up here. And she kind of gave me the bug eyes. I think she waited a minute to see if I'd go in the store first, but of course, women they can take a while to get out of the vehicle anyway. I let all that stuff go. I stopped road raging in my late 20s. I don't even. It's not even a thing. Whatever happens, happens. There's no back and forth getting mad. But definitely could. If I would have been already inching into that turning lane, the likelihood of her crashing into me was very high. So keep your heads on. I got to keep my head on a swivel out here. Certainly. But I didn't know a pickup truck could go from zero to hauling ass that quick, man. That thing blasted off. Big old loud exhaust, of course, which that helped. That helped me figure out what was going on. Big old loud exhaust. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep, man. I figured that might be the case. I think maybe the yerba mate did me in because I did my last egg drink at the last one of the last Dollar Trees. I guess the last Dollar Tree. Finally got all of my window coverings. In fact, I doubled up. I said, "Fuck it, I might as well keep some extras just in case." Yeah, I had. Usually, I don't have the yerba mate on the last round of eggs, but since I was driving, I said, "Fuck it, might as well." It's got a little bit of caffeine, nothing crazy. But, although the double chocolate cookies also, man, but dark chocolate supposedly can have an effect on sleep. Although it was restful. It's just I can tell that I'm not. I maybe got 3 hours at the max, which is fine. We're good to drive all night. Where are we going to make it to? I saw King Arizona, and I forgot. See, the move is coming from Arkansas. I've done this before. Coming from Arkansas, the move is in Oklahoma City. Start heading northwest and go all the way, like the back highways, go all the way to the finger. You know, Oklahoma's got the Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle. Like go all the way almost to the end of that thing, and then bust a right up into Colorado, and there's a dispensary like 60 miles up the road or whatever. And I got to go in that way because in the wintertime, you'd have a better chance of that road being clear from the ice and snow and such. Although not a guarantee, of course. Yeah, a little bleary eyed, but my body's rested, and it told me to get up and start driving. So I do like the all night driving. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a mistake passing up the Loves. I bet that was the last truck stop. So now it's going to be just whatever random gas station I hit. Although more and more of them are having those, single serve coffee machines, grind the beans right away. But that's my dedication to the live streaming, right? To the running of the app. I could have waited until after the coffee stop, or I could have planned all this out in advance. Something's up with my AC. My AC blower makes a noise, a racket that it did not previously make. But the air still blows relatively cold, but I don't know that I would look to the AC to last too much longer in this car. I ain't spending any money on it. I still got a $225 clutch kit back there. Well, 250 with tag. So may or may not get installed someday. Car's running good. The thing about these people call them gas savers, and it's like, yeah, but that depends on how the car's driven. I got about 29 miles a gallon last tank, or whatever, when I filled up last time, which is not that big of a deal. But I realize it's actually 65, which I usually do anyway. I'm doing that right now. It's like 25% fuel economy. Takes a little bit of discipline, and yeah, I only drove 450 miles yesterday. I started out at like 3:30 in the morning. There's 33 code from Van Buren, Arkansas. I fucked around. I stopped a bunch of times. I was over it after going to all those Dollar Trees, driving all around Amarillo city traffic. I do like that there's still some places with some balls though, where the people aren't just now they're probably all on meth or whatever, but meth, opiates, scripts, but definitely got some of the like a Hispanic guy fucking, you could tell like leaving out of one of the Dollar Trees kind of was a little nasty towards me, the nonverbal communication, which I don't even care, man. It's like, all right, brother, if you talk to me, you'll quickly find out this is like nowhere near what you're thinking I might represent, sir. Sometimes they tell on themselves. Spitting, he walked past me and spat on the ground, like hawked the loogie and spat on the ground. Spitting for males, mostly territorial, if anybody's curious. That's what psychology says. Either way. And then, man, one of those Dollar Trees, Because I'm on a mission. I'm looking for one specific item, and it's usually in like one specific row. Although the last place that had the most of them in stock, they automotive was actually in a complete. It was like where the food usually is. I don't know what's going on in some of these Dollar Trees, but bro, I couldn't even hardly look down some of these aisles because it's a female fashion show, man. Like BBLs and fucking bending over, and especially some of these Hispanic ladies, man, just dressed to the nines. It's like we're dressing up to go to the Dollar Tree. Like, what is this, man? But yeah, this was a mistake, and I knew this. I told myself this. I said, "You're about to roll out of town, and there's not going to be no coffee. You're going to miss." I said to myself, You're going to have one shot at this, buddy." And, we pulled a boner, but that's all right. There'll be some bullshit gas station another 20 or 30 miles. So we got that to look forward to. For whoever forgot to fuel up in Amarillo. But yeah, man, I need to just like avert my gaze, and just keep it moving and like kind of just wait for them to get the fuck out of the way, man. It's like, is it that engrossing? And I don't know that they go there for male attention either. It's just like, oh my God, there's an actual dude. Gringo. Not that they're looking for a gringo, but desperation. And again, I feel for the ladies. None of this is woman bashing. I feel bad for the ladies. Man, it fucking stinks out here. There must be some big cattle lot out here or whatever, feed lot, whatever they call these things. Of course, I don't have to have coffee, but knowing the map, it's like, yo, not too much between here and Albuquerque, sir. Not much going on. Got to be a truck stop somewhere, but that could be 100 miles. I'm blaming the coffee. I thought I would have more to say. It's the coffee's fault. Well, we're veering into nonsense, so you might want to come back later. But I feel like I'm going to hit on to something here shortly. I feel like it's coming. Some of these Dollar Trees, though, man, there's just like, it's not that the shelves are empty. It's just like nothing in there uh, that seems appealing. And then I don't even know what this. I had to wait behind this one lady to check out at one of the Dollar Trees. I don't even know what she was buying. I'm just looking at this crap, and it's like, what even is this, man? Talk about tariffs. Whatever this garbage is, tariff the fuck out of it. Maybe they'll stop sending it over. Goodness gracious, people will buy anything. They'll buy anything. Her total was like $50, and I'm pretty sure everything she bought was $1.25 items. And again, none of my business. I'm just observing and reporting. There's like I saw these travel mugs. I'm like, oh, travel mug. Oh, $5. Yeah, I'm good on all that. We'll pay double and get something decent at Wally World if we need a travel mug, which we don't. I could tell though the quality was a little too high for the $1.25, $5 shit. It ain't even really Dollar Tree anymore, is it? Yeah, we done. It's bad when it's bad enough when it just doesn't occur to a person. Leave town, it's not going to be coffee. Like that's one thing, but to actually remind oneself, hey, make sure to stop for coffee on your way out of town. Then it's like, oh look, the Loves as we drive past it. Yeah, I could have doubled back, but I'd prefer not to. Yeah, like oh, there's the Loves, fantastic. We've missed it. Yeah, this might be more of a the silence is a meditation style audio blog, right? At this point, just Benton talking about his life. I am settling into like this lack of anxiety, which again, I don't historically have never considered myself an anxious person, but certainly seems like everybody, overall, with some exceptions, and especially unmedicated, experiences anxiety on a regular basis. But since this recent, the recent true knowledge of self and self realization and all of this, which I can always talk about that. So that's there if I run out of shit to say. What a blessing, and way less stress, way less anxiety. I have memories of like living that traveler lifestyle and living out of a backpack, bebopping around the country, and being very used to it. And I remember spending at least a couple, maybe 2 or 3 months in Santa Barbara, and I remember getting anxiety like getting on the bus to leave town to go traveling. I remember my mind just said, "Hey, man, like this has to be physiological." And by then I'd been doing enough meditation over many years that I was starting to figure certain things out. And I was just like, "Hey, man, like you know what to do here. Like, what is this? Like, what is this anxiety? Whatever that existential dread is." It's like, bro, there's actually logically nothing to worry about. You know? So it's interesting taking this road trip and not really knowing don't even really know where I'm going in California. And in fact, I'm only even going to California because it's too early to go to the Pacific Northwest. And then it's like, well, am I going to go to San Francisco, and where the hell am I going to park my car? Although I do know where some free parking is. However, you know what? That's probably I'm glad we're having this discussion, because San Francisco is, unless something's changed, they err on the side of not towing people's shit without proper notice. So in fact, I probably can park and not necessarily leave town, but at least feel fairly secure to roam about the country, or roam about the city rather. I don't know. It still doesn't really. It still confines me to the area though, so I don't know that that's a solution. But it's like, what do I do with this car, man? I don't know. I won't know till I get to the actual West Coast, but starting to look like it might be a burning of the boat, perhaps, and I won't know till I get there. So far the decision making, just kind of waiting for the inspiration's been going well. Continuing that trend. But man, I don't know what I did. I was sitting in a chair and I bent over. What it was, my phones fell out of my pocket. I bent over to pick the phones up and tweak my back. Not in a bad way, just in like now my left fucking foot's going to be tingling and numb for however long. Well, and I know to lay on my back and do like a certain kind of stretch. I guess next time I stop, I'll somebody will be like, "Why's that guy laying on the ground?" I don't know, bro. Probably got some kind of reason. I caught Millennial Steam live yesterday, and he's been talking more and more about his life. Although he's a little bit girl crazy or woman crazy. He likes to describe, his physical attraction to women, which is fine. But it's like, yeah, kind of over all that. He's probably, I don't know, man. He claims not to get any action, but I think maybe he probably does. Hard to say, but perhaps. And man, the stuff people go through working for these corporations, and I think he makes halfway decent money, but not really. air quotes, in this economy. It's like, well, it's always the same economy. The function of the economy is to make rich people richer every moment into perpetuity. It never fails to achieve its purpose. And then whatever it accomplishes outside of that is more or less beside the point. And lest we forget, in 1984, Orwell's 1984, the proletariat had their own economy, their own underground black market economy. They weren't blessed into the normal system. That was for the party members. Damn it, man! What a fucking bozo! I mean, and I know this. There's nothing out here. It's like, yeah, you knew that, sir. You knew you were driving out into nothing, and still drove right past the love. What is wrong? What is wrong with you, sir? We do have a bar of dark chocolate, so maybe perhaps that will suffice. I don't know if I'm ready to bust into that just yet. Oh, wait a minute. There's something over there. Is this a town? I see a sign. I see some sort of something. All right, hang on. Let's see what we got here. Used to be a ways off the highway. No. What we got? What do we got? I realized I uninstalled my trucker GPS, and I probably should have. I need to reinstall it because it does tell me where all the truck stops are. What the fuck is that? Gas station. We're desperate. We'll take anything. Valero Pilot Travel Center. Oh, there's a pilot up here. All right. We're in the coffee. Let's see. I panicked for nothing. Old Benton here is prone to catastrophizing, in case y'all hadn't noticed. So it's completely normal. Totally normal behavior from Mr. Benton here. Now, where's the travel mug? Are we going to double dip? We're going to go ahead and get 32 ounces of coffee? I don't know, man. Is it that kind of stream? Perhaps. We'll just do one cup. Well, it's 2 cups, 16 ounces. Yeah, man, this is no good with the old left leg here. I used to have sciatica long ago. I cured my sciatica by sleeping on the floor on my side with a pillow between my legs for like 3 months. Cured it eventually, but if I tweak my back, it'll start to, not the sciatica, but I'll just start getting some weird nerve shit going on. I guess like sciatica, but without the actual pain. I mean, this is pain, but pain don't hurt, so it's not what I would call pain. All right, this is my exit 36. What was the name of this town? This is probably whoever thinks Amarillo's too big of a city to live in. And I mean, it kind of sounds funny to people who, like myself, who are a little more acquainted with larger areas. But when I worked, that company I worked for, when I broke my foot, I overheard some ladies talking about doing their Christmas shopping and talking about going to the nearby town of Conway, Arkansas, which is like no more than 50,000 people. And that was like the big city to them. It's like, wow. Because, where they were at was Morrilton. It was like 5,000, 6,000. But a lot of them lived, out in the country. They're against some cities, man. All right, we're pulling out. If somebody coming, they're going way too fast. They need to slow the fuck down. Going too fast, sir. I don't know what this semi's doing, just sitting there. Pretty sure he could have pulled out by now. He's having some problems. Halfway in the road. Probably not even in the driver's seat. This is why I only made 450 miles yesterday, stopping every fucking 10 minutes. Yeah, anyway. All right, BRB. Actually, I'm bringing you with me, but I'm going to mute. So I'm certainly not going to risk anybody stealing my phones, right? Can't risk that. You got to take it with me. All right, we're back. And yeah, man, that this stopping at this truck stop reminds me of something. Oh shit, something I noticed. Why did I even leave the car running? I guess I got used to when my battery wasn't so good, leaving the damn car running. But either way, and I'm being lazy and not cleaning the windscreen, but that's all right. And looking out for gigantic potholes since it's a truck stop. All right, let's get on out of here. But just how dumb people. I mean, actually, just performative dumb. Like watching people and how dumb it's. In fact, I've now come to the opinion that it's actually helpful to get through the day and to function in society. It seems to actually be an advantage to be dumb. Now, not in a like, oh, now we're successful, but Pyrrhic victory, I think might be maybe that would be the way to think about it. Like, yeah, it's its own torture, right? It's not an ignorance bliss type of thing, but uh, just watching this, having to wait for my coffee because I'm not even going to take the risk. There's two coffee machines. I'm not even going to try to take the risk of accidentally getting decaf, right? So now I'm down to one machine, and a fella beat me there, which is fine. We're patient, but just watching, like, and as men, we can't find anything for whatever reason much of the time. But then it's like, so he's looking for the lids, and I'm just standing there because it's like, well, I'm not going to go find the fucking lids for this dude. And so he finally just asked me, and I said, man, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's going to sound this way. I said, why would I know where the lids are? I said it just like that. I said, why would I? Because it's basically like, man, I'm in your predicament. Because, obviously we have coffee here. Why aren't the lids here? Well, here's why the lids are. And, I didn't even get into this with him, but it's because almost everybody takes their coffee and they go to where the cream and sugar is. Except this wasn't a cream and sugar type of fella. Although I don't know, is that a euphemism? Maybe he was. I don't know. Actually, oh, you know who he was? Just the nicest, pushover, kind, order follower of a human being. Driving a full-size long bed diesel dually pickup with a welding rig on the back, as I figured out once we left. And just looking to be led, right? And I'm not trying to lead nobody, but I did manage to find and here's how I found the lids, because I understand that some of them are not black, but our brains are looking for black lids, right? Whether we know this or not. And then I've watched where my brain functions, I've watched where he's looked. I've already observed what he's done. So I at least go to a completely separate area, and I'm like, hey man, I found them. And they're white, they're white colored. And then he's basically like, I don't know why they're not over there. I said, hey man, just turn that part of your brain off, brother. Like and it's kind of like I'm making a joke too, because it's like, obviously, it's, I don't know that he ever had that part of his brain. He was having trouble like reading the screen to figure out what buttons to push to make the coffee. That's okay. I mean, not everybody's educated. What society needs welders. I mean, at least for a few more years, right? Not putting him down. And then, probably spiritually, I shouldn't be a dick, because it's like spiritually he could probably sense, oh, here's somebody, who's hasn't figured out to turn their fucking brain off. Well, because I'm not able to, sir. But and I probably wouldn't even choose to turn my brain off. But in reality, it did make sense now that I think about it, because almost everybody that drinks coffee is immediately headed right for the cream and sugar. So it actually makes logical sense to put the cut the lids right above the cream and sugar. But since I don't even concern myself with any of that, I just drink the coffee. Imagine actually liking coffee, right? By the way, where does Bon Jovi? Yeah, I mean, let's stop this eventually. Eventually, we're going to stop this almost like a tick we've developed. We'll get shed of it eventually. And again, where I'm experiencing all this without the anger, without the pin up frustration. It's I don't know, 5 weeks since self realization, the true knowledge of self. So, but I do have that. There is a spirit of, if it's not anger, but it's a like a righteousness. It's like, hey man, why would I know where the lids are? Like that seems to be consistent with what I am. Because of not being an asshole, right? Said, hey man, it's just gonna sound like I'm being a dick, but this is not really. But yeah, why would I know where they are? Like, I'm as lost as you, brother. Maybe I'm hiding it better, and I'm not lost, and I didn't say that, but in a way, it's like, yeah, brother, I'm also a man who can't find things. Like, don't we know this? And he was younger. He's probably in his 20s. It's like, do we not know this about ourselves? At what point does a man realize, oh, I can't find anything? How many times, how often do I look for something and search, and it was just right there? I mean, like, I looked everywhere except whatever was in front of me when I started looking. Yeah, I'm fully capable of that. What is it about being a man that seems to involve that? I don't know. It's something. But being in Amarillo yesterday for however many hours and just watching, like, and not in a man, can you believe the state of the masses here, but just stupid. And Albuquerque is the worst place I've ever been for stupidity. Just the absolute worst. It's appalling. New York, New Mexico State in general, just the whole state. And I'm from the South. I'm from Arkansas, right? And yeah, I see dumb shit in Arkansas. Hell, you see dumb shit everywhere. But now I'm getting a little irritated. Let me calm down here. But yeah, shocking, shocking stupidity. And it's fine, except for we've been sold this bill of goods, and society in some ways seems to be based on a notion of intelligence, capability, um, sophistication, complication, sort of learning more about one's job or whatever one's hobbies are. And it was already bad before TikTok, but dude, TikTok is just whatever was left of people's ability to think and reason for that. It's gone. It's just gone. And I suspect it's never coming back. I mean, this dude was just, I mean, I don't know what he would have done if he was on the verge of maybe not being able to get coffee because this was one of the rare truck stops that only had the machines, no urns, right? Pretty sure he would have just gave up on the machine and went to the urn. And then of course, now that he's got me talking, I gave a lecture. I said, just turn that part of your brain off, buddy, which is kind of me telling myself a joke about, well, obviously it's never got switched on, but because he's wanting to common sense it. He wanting a word, because actually, no, sir, if we, I could have just taken a moment to run him through the whole thing and just analyze how the entire area was set up, because I have that ability. I could just stand there and look around and just say, okay, like I can see why it's set up this way. But in his mind, he's right there. Why aren't the lids right here? Yeah, okay, understood, sir. But then why can't two grown ass men not find the fucking lids? And then I know that I'm not capable of finding the fucking lids unless I just it's almost like I've been taken hostage by the realm, and I have such levels of Stockholm syndrome I know to sort of just freeze in place and then just kind of scan with my eyes, right? Like, I mean, for real, this is not, I'm not exaggerating. And then with him moving about the cabin, I can't even really physically search about. So I'm just going to, and then who knows, maybe I don't think he ever would have found him personally. He was going, he started to go for the clear soda lids. I'm just watching him like, really, dude, you're going to try to put that on you're going to try to put that. It's obviously, this does not go, this is clearly a coffee cup, sir, but I don't know what to say at this point. And, not irritated, not frustrated, just, with love, but also like, hey, man, what is this? And, but, I skipped the lecture about, well, here's why the lids are here, because this is, you don't know this because you're still a young fella, but the older the fella gets, they at a certain point become obsessed with, he put some kind of flavor in it. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he just was lacking sleep. I'm not sure he even drinks coffee normally. Probably here's what it was. His old lady got to watching, they're not able to pay their bills or whatever. They got credit card debt, and TikTok's told them that one of the fastest ways to cut the family budget is no more Monster energy drinks. It's, the number one thing is whoever's off to work stops by the gas station or the truck stop, and it's $20, right? And not even for fuel, it's just $20. They're in there, cans of dip, cigarettes, fucking Monster too. Well, and then my favorite, my absolute favorite, because you can't just buy one Monster energy drink because it's two for whatever. So, and it's Rockstar. I don't think Monster's usually on, but God forbid you come up to the counter and they're like, it's cheaper if you get two. I'm like, wait a minute, challenge accepted. My brain goes ding, ding, ding. I said, how can it be cheaper if it costs more? I'll just say that. I said, what are you talking about? And I won't say it in this spirit that I'm now having. Let me calm down again. I'm working myself up here. But I'll just matter of factly be like, well, that can't possibly be true. It costs more. How can it be cheaper and cost more? And then we get into the unit cost. Okay, but why not say it that way? Why not say it's cheaper per can if you get two? And furthermore, lady, I've walked around Los Angeles picking up cans and bottles. I'm here to tell you, much of the time they don't consume the second can. So yes, if I'm already in the market for two Rockstar energy drinks, it's cheaper, but only if I'm going to buy two. Now, I understand that may not be the last Rockstar I'm ever going to purchase. However, we're in a convenience store. I'm willing to pay more for this item for what? Convenience. Why are you Sam's Clubbing me? Is this Costco? Where am I? What's happening? Right? Why, but why am I being upsold into? I am calm, but I mean, just am I the only one that has these thoughts? I can't be the only one who has these thoughts. It's just not possible. Like, it's not cheaper. Well, how much is one? How much is two? How is that cheaper? Right? Yes. Okay. You didn't say you didn't say cheaper per can. You said cheaper. Cheaper means I pay less. Cheaper means if I buy two, it's less than buying one. This is not that. What are you doing to me? And that whole buy one get one thing, it's like, hasn't that always been the case? I buy one and I get one. Like, it doesn't. I understand buy one get one free, but at a certain point they drop the free. It's like, Technically speaking, isn't that always the case? I buy one and I get one. But I guess what they mean is you buy one and then we give you another one. I mean, technically, it would be I get the one I bought. I don't know. How does that work? Anyway. Oh, and then the lady, the way too much focus, energy, and effort, potentially, although who can even tell anymore, but maybe a young, well, in her 20s lesbian chick with, the one sleeve, the one arm sleeve tattoo or whatever we're calling this. Half sleeve, I don't fucking know, whatever it is. She's walking by like, I need a raise. And I'm like, and again, I managed to say this like not to the person, just kind of into the ether, but I'm like, well, since you work for this corporation, and I didn't really mean this corporation, I meant a corporation, but since you work for this corporation, not only are you not going to get a raise, in fact, the moment they're able to, they're going to fire you and eliminate your position. And then I said, oh, and I don't mean this corporation. I mean, that's all corporations. And I think she laughed, but she was somewhere else bebopping around on Adderall or whatever she's doing. I don't know. Maybe she just has energy. I mean, that's always possible, I guess. Maybe she had two Rockstar energy drinks. She was buying something when I walked in the door, actually, now that I remember. Yeah, probably she was hopped up on the energy drinks. And I'm all for it, man. I believe in freedom, uh, but yeah, I told the young fella, I said, just turn that part of your brain off, buddy. And again, that's sort of my joke to myself, which is clearly, and it's to his advantage. It's now, I would argue, we've reached a point probably long ago. It's actually if a person's just going to live a normal life, drive around in a company truck, maybe that's his truck. I don't fucking know. Drive around with a welding rig on his pickup, his diesel duty pickup. And again, I'm for freedom. If somebody wants to drive around in $100,000 pickup, go for it. I mean, what do I care? It's their business. I mean, I still have my opinions. You know, I'm not yeah, I'm a little more left leaning than the rest of the community. Not that it's a community, but yeah, I'm not an actual communist here or anything close to it, actually. But um, in order to live that life and fit into his community, and yeah, he needs to just almost be on the verge of almost not being able to go into a store and leave with a cup of coffee. Like it's kind of a requirement at this point. To just be able to shut down, you know, many of the brains, and then the Moloch's machine, the system itself certainly circumvents and subverts and turns a lot of that off. Also, 354. What the fuck? What are these gas prices? It's not going to be this much in Albuquerque, certainly. It's different looking at all this now. I'm way more detached. I'm far less annoyed, right? I'm taking it all in stride. And I was working, I've really worked hard for many years to be able to take things less badly, right? Uh, the unevolved Benton, the just, way back in the day, just everything bothered me to some extent. And now it's like I just watch it all happen. It's like, yeah, of course, this is Benton watching himself drive past the bus leaving town. But then, of course, after catastrophizing, well, there's a pilot 30 miles down the road, all is well. But I'm still drinking out of a styrofoam cup. At least Love's has the good sense to use paper, right? And I remember in the 80s, people were drinking coffee out of styrofoam cups. It's like, yeah, man, Google styrofoam. It'll tell you right there, not intended for hot beverages. It can release like a poisonous gas or whatever. It's probably okay, though. It's probably fine. But yeah, I gave him some version of the styrofoam lecture, mainly meaning, and that was my point about the turn that part of your brain off. It's like, look, man, if you're really going to start looking into shit, it realistically, none of it makes sense. For a person who's going to go work for a corporation or work some kind of job and pay income taxes, be a taxpayer, keep up with the political cycles to some extent, like realistically, none of it holds up to scrutiny. None of it. So just why even, self there, you know, why worry your pretty little head there, fella? Right? Not that he was pretty, but quite the opposite. But that's not the point. Had a bit of an innocence. Had a bit of the innocence about him. Bit of the, and I don't mean sexually, although perhaps probably married his high school sweetheart, probably some version of native, some version of native. So may not have ever actually been sacrificed to Moloch's machine. I kind of regret being an asshole to him now, but not really. He needs to hear it. Why would I know? And it's like, yeah, the white man. You're talking to the white man, sir. I mean, what do you expect? Yeah, I may not be the typical, I may not be a typical stand-in for the white man, but I mean, I am indeed the white man, sir. I'm the whitest of white men looking around. I don't see any other white men, actually. Straight Peckerwood. Never bothered me to be white. White guilt. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm white. If I was black, I'd be black. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's just kind of a silly thing in society. there's way more, I definitely get a lot more vitriol and just dirty looks and just, bad treatment just because I'm white. It's like, what is this, man? Really? What if I'm the magical white boy, though? How do you know I'm not the magical white boy? Just like in the movies, it's always like some magical old black man knows everything, infallible. Eventually they just finally just made a movie where Morgan Freeman was God or whatever. I never saw it. What was that, Bruce Almighty, I guess? It's like, yeah, man. I mean, there's got to be a white version of that somewhere. And I think it's funny. I haven't really told anybody this yet, but I've told it to myself in my head, and I'll tell somebody, this self realization. At some point, I'm going to tell somebody about that true knowledge of self, which I think I've mentioned it here and there, but it'd be like, and you know how hard that is for a white guy? How hard it is for a white person to get to that, to reach that conclusion? I mean, come on here. I deserve kudos, right? Ain't no white prophets, man. Are you crazy? And I don't view that as an insult necessarily. But yeah, thank you, white man, for the Moloch's machine of the Industrial Revolution. And uh, I'm stealing a Sam Hyde $1 million extreme joke there. But yeah, thank you, white man, for all of these modern, the modern fucking corporate hellscape. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. But I can tell I'm going to enjoy this new phase of life and I've always told it like I saw it or told it like it is to some extent. But the pandemic, I talked about this yesterday, I believe, or maybe the day before. Pandemic really did something to me around. I've never been a fearful person, but I began to develop some patterns based on just sort of going along to get along and holding my tongue. And for during the pandemic, there was an acknowledgement of, shit's already bad in public. Like, let's not make it worse by the autistic person opening his pedantic mouth here, please. It's like, okay, sure, I'll stand down. But not anymore, man. I'm bringing it back. Bringing it back. Because why shouldn't I tell that? It's like, why would I know where the lids are? Like, but seriously, answer the why would I? And if somebody said that to me, I'd just laugh and say, you're right. Why would you? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly, sir. I'm in the same predicament as you. Just like I'm you fucking 60 seconds into the future here, buddy. You know, with maybe you'll find them, but based on how you're operating, I'm not that optimistic. So I'm certainly not foolish enough to tie my hopes to yours in this moment, right? But I'm pretty sure I'm going to find them, and I'm going to watch where you're looking and not bother looking in those areas. So then I'm just like process of elimination. Like, where could they be? Okay, they're white. That's why we can't find them. They're the wrong motherfucking color. And I didn't say this, but they're the wrong color, sir. That's why we can't find them. It's like we're out here looking for a particular color of animal, and it's the other color, right? We can't see it. We're out on the Serengeti or whatever. We're in the fucking bush, waiting for our meal to come by, and our brain knows exactly what the meal looks like. I mean, that's for real. That's what's happening. Same thing with the going into all these Dollar Trees. Like my brain is only one thing exists, and it's like, wait a minute, why is there chicks in skirts with BBLs bending over? It's like I'm trying to, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's no chicks with BBLs on the Serengeti, right? I mean, they're at the fucking village. It's like, what is going on here, man? I'm not designed for this in a way. It's like, yo, I'm out here trying to kill some animals so I can take the meat back and so I can get forget about the BBL so I can, I need these bitches to eat, right? I need them looking some type of way. I need these broads fucking well fed, man. I mean, what a nightmare. What a fucking nightmare this place is. It's a waking dream nightmare. Surreal, unreal, waking motherfucking dream. Now, that doesn't mean it's just not real. And so when I harken back to, the old Shock Body Outline Discord when I first showed up there many years ago now, and this is, a lot of this is not real man talk, man. It's not real man talk. That's way before we encountered Talcott, but this isn't real. But then we get into, yeah, you were right, Drew. Drew didn't know the right term, and I didn't either. Drew wasn't using the proper terminology. It's unreality, unreal. But then, we've turned unreal into an expression like unreal, like almost an exasperation. But it's like, actually, no, the word unreal has a definition. That's what we mean. We're not saying everything's fake, because to say, oh, this isn't real, that's, well, oh, you're saying I'm not saying everything's fake. I'm saying not genuine, not as it presents itself to be, right? It's a counterfeit. This realm is counterfeit. But then that's not even really correct, because it's like, well, okay, but what is the original then? See, now we get into simulation, and I got to and I'll go back over this. I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating since I'm talking about it. I mean, we're all here. Why not? So the simulation theory began to bother me because, first of all, I detected that a lot of the people, especially once the normies started buying into simulation theory, it's like, all right, yeah, I understand it's kind of cute and funny and all of this, irreverent. There you go. Irreverent to, oh, well, it's a simulation. This isn't even real. It's a simulation. Yeah, I understand the cutesy aspects of this, irreverent. We're doing material. But then I really think it's the surrealism. It's that, and that the closest thing that it's deja vu, right? But it's not deja vu. It's that deja vu is surreal by definition. The experience of deja vu, that is a surreal experience. Surreal. So I think really the appeal of simulation and simulation theory is it accounts for the surrealism, right? So thus potentially eliminating some of the existential dread by leaning into the existential dread, which, again, the only way out is through. So strategically, it makes some sense. However, now we have a concept that must be reconciled if we're Benton. See, because Benton is not going to be able to rattle this around in his brain forever without reconciling, okay, what's up with this simulation? Like, it's got to be reconciled. Now, I've developed an ability to patiently sit with these ideas for years. I've had simulation theory rattling around in my brain for many years. And it finally, the epiphany happened. I figured it out because I started asking it. It's by question everything. I started asking the question, what, comma, exactly, comma, is being simulated, which means I don't want to guess. I don't want your hunch. I don't want an approximation. If we, and again, the royal we, if we are so motherfucking sure it's a simulation, we have to be able to answer exactly what's being simulated. If not, what are we talking about? Again, the royal we. What's being discussed? And then here's what the Dumbo, the person who's barely thinking and is just looking for, much like the person who doesn't listen and waits for their turn to speak, is the person who is barely thinking and is waiting for a valid reason to go back to not thinking at all. Right? They've been awakened out of their reverie of non-thinking into temporarily kind of sort of thinking, just barely. And they're looking for any old excuse to go back to not thinking. So if I'm like, what, comma, exactly, comma, is being simulated, they'll just say, well, this, and point it to simulation. I'm like, absolutely not. That's not, you can't know. That doesn't work. And I'll explain why. Because if I had the money, if I'm a business and I go to a team of computer programmers and they do simulations, they make video games, they make simulations. I say, here's my budget, $1 million or $100,000, whatever it is. And I need you to simulate whatever it is that I want simulated, but something from my daily life, right? Maybe I want you to simulate what it's like to be spiritually attacked. I have all this body cam footage of me, going into various super centers and just spiritual attack after. And so, okay, in order for these people to, I want you to I want a Walmart Supercenter spiritual attack simulator, right? First person body cam style, and so I can't assume that they know what a spiritual attack is. So then I have to meet with, first, I meet with the salesman, and then of course he's just overcoming objections and selling me, right? So I'm being promised the world, but then we get down to meeting with the actual, whoever's got whoever the liaison between the sales team and Office Space, bore some of this out. Whoever, and it might be somebody like me, whoever's just technical enough, but also is nerdy enough to actually talk to the engineers and sort of speak their language while not trying to be on their level, just to be able to actually, confab with the tech people. And then also, uh, go get fucked up with the sales staff without, getting addicted to hard drugs, right? Whatever that is, like, without actually snorting fucking lines off a stripper's ass or whatever that ends up being. However salespeople live, sort of in that middle ground. So at some point, it's now coming down to, we haven't signed the contract. It must be agreed upon. Okay, somewhere in there, we've got to define, well, what the fuck constitutes a spiritual attack? And well, here's what our software can actually do, and then, even then, the final product may or may not actually resemble what we've agreed to contractually. And then eventually it's like, okay, here's your 100,000 or here's your whatever they need up front. And then eventually they deliver the final product. And I'm here to tell you, you can't ever ask the question, what's being simulated, and point at that final product and say, that's what's being simulated. It's like, what are you talking about? What about this whole negotiation process? What about the, entering mountain time? It's now 1 hour earlier, I guess. What about all of these things that had to be ironed out and hammered out in agreements and contracts. And we had to have a person whose entire job is to be able to talk to the salespeople and talk to the engineers, software engineers, right? All of that machinery and overlay and overhead. So that disproved, if it was possible to just point at the simulation and treat it like that's a one-on-one, that's a one-to-one facts, that's a one-to-one copy, there would be no reason for the fucking sales staff and the middle manager guy that's able to be the liaison. There'd be no reason for the software engineers. There'd be no reason for a contract. It would just be an app or whatever. You would just order it up. You know, there would none of that would be involved. So that proves that what exactly is being simulated, meaning somebody's got to go to a team of designers and creative types and salespeople and all of this. Somebody has to initiate or commission the simulation, right? I'm here to tell you this realm is because thesis and antithesis, knowingly or unknowingly, collaborated and got together and commissioned via theses or propositions creative force. That is the creative staff and the sales staff and all of that, right? And maybe antithesis is the sales staff, right? Maybe the liaison between the sales staff and the tech people is some guy who's having his own existential crisis, doesn't quite know what he is, right? He's sort of stuck between two. He's trapped between stasis and anti-stasis, right? That's a real thing also. He's trapped between thesis and antithesis, perhaps some sort of soul searching happening. So this is how this realm came into existence. So yes, it is a simulation. I can tell you exactly what's being simulated. Every now that's already gone. It's now it's here and now it's gone, right? In every now, the simulation runs in Delusion, right? Delusion Simulator 5000, right? In every now is a mathematical experiment or a simulation, and each individual's creative force. So each individual is their own simulation or delusion within the larger simulation or delusion. And that creative force that never lies dormant, the experiment is to watch and assess and track and catalog over time within a delusion to see what is the output of that creative force in each new moment, which itself doesn't exist and is a delusion. To put each new moment, the creative output, to judge it, right, and put it in one of two categories. It either serves the most super intelligent force of love and creation possible at the highest levels of vibration frequency, its own nature, perhaps, Mr. Beale. That's the one, that one indivisible force. And again, solipsism, I might be the only simulation running in the realm, or I might be the only representation of this particular simulation. I don't know. Or it serves the zero or antithesis. There's no middle ground. That's the biblical idea of, the lukewarm is spat out of the mouth, better to be hot or cold. Well, in fact, Moloch's machine in this realm of delusion, every moment is either hot or cold. At the level of what? My creative force that never lies dormant always brings something new into existence. This is the gospel of Ben. 369, mile marker 369. Am I the only one ever to preach it? Well, probably not. There's nothing new under the sun, but something's going on here. Just patiently waiting to deliver this, perhaps deliver these discourses, perhaps on the streets of San Francisco. This seems like a more of a Bay Area type of deal. But not that it wouldn't be, it would. I would say it works anywhere, but maybe debut it in the Bay. Perhaps we'll see. Don't have to make that decision quite yet. Oh yes, much better fuel economy now that I've slowed my roll here. Yes. I blame that Murphy's USA. I swore it off entirely for a while. I think I'm going back to that. It's just fucking garbage, dude. That Murphy USA trash, trash. And again, everybody's free to accept or reject or put their own stink on any of these ideas. But I know this to be the case because why? Because I know who and what I am. More correctly, I know what I am. I know exactly what I am. Well, what are you, Ben? I am the most or more correctly, perhaps in this delusion, what I am is one with the most super intelligent force of love and creation at the highest levels of vibrational frequency, a quickening spirit. It's always able to vibrate ever faster. Oh, yeah, buddy, the road is fucked. Oh, yeah, tear up my car. Thanks. One of the drawbacks of driving at night, can't see the gigantic potholes. Fuck. Greatest country in the history of humanity. I halfway understand why people drive these full size trucks and SUVs. You kind of need something that sturdy to deal with how fucked up the roads are. A little fucking clown car here. My Mickey Mouse car ain't feeling it. I think we got through that one okay, but what a fucking disaster. Just imagine, and it's 100 times worse than a big rig. 100 times. Well, 20 times. So that was a bit of a splurge last night. The $46, which actually that is the reason perhaps that I could have negotiated. But she's welcome to the $6. Some of these Indian ladies are low key attractive, also. I've noticed, and that not in a horn dog. I'm looking to find something about any of them, or all of them, rather, just women in general. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed that. Oh man, yes, sir. It's all happening. And I understand the plight of the individual human because, especially within Moloch's machine, operating with these, psychologies is, who wants to look at life that way? And it feels very personal, right? This idea of my life. Well, I don't have a life. Like I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Or again, what I am that's what Christ in the Bible was referring to. And in some ways, what it was to be Christ in the Bible was a person who, for whatever reason, probably came to that true knowledge of self quite early. And I'm talking about the human side of it, right? We can have our own opinions about, was there a historical Jesus and all this? I'm talking about the story of the Bible, right? And praise Almighty God in the mighty name of Christ Jesus. Jesus Christ is Lord. That works for me, so I'm going to stick with it. But I'm coming into new understandings of all of that as well. Yeah, buddy, go ahead and pass me, but I'm straddling. I'm having to snuggle up to this line here. Yeah, you better go ahead and pass there, Bubba. You gonna run me off the road there, partner? Anyway, anyway, what was I on about? Yeah, I get it. Like, again, this true knowledge of self-realization has completely transformed my life in many ways. So maybe not completely, but it's or maybe it's in the process of completely transforming my life. And again, what are we talking about? We're talking about being transformed. I'm not talking about going into the assertive, the aggressive, the assertive, the dominant AAD, and doing this to myself as if I'm some sort of scientist or chemist, and now I'm going to just apply the process, right? What we're talking about is that's not a yang, that's not an aggression, that's not an assertion, that's not a masculine form of energy. That's a feminine, passive, right? Surrender to a process or processes. Okay. No spiritual surrender equals no spiritual victory. Well, and the fact is, most folks being so strongly identified with this realm are, in fact, not at all interested in spiritual victory, right? But again, because of religion, because of how societies are structured, because of Moloch's machine, is anybody, really free to say that? To just say, yeah, I'm not interested in spiritual victory. And I don't even like saying that, uh, speaking on behalf of a hypothetical person, right? I don't even like to speak that way, but it's many folks. The reality is, a lot of people are just simply not open to that possibility of what, not of transforming themselves. I would say almost everybody is open to that, and in fact, has done versions of that, even if it's limited. Of what, again, assertively and aggressive AAD, aggression, assertiveness, and dominance, and using those forms to transform themselves, to act upon themselves within themselves. Yeah, sure. And in fact, I would say society within Moloch's machine demands it to some extent. And certainly the corporate structure, which is the same thing as the education system, it's the same fucking thing. This is all, these are all corporate boxes within a corporate hellscape that is engaged in has undertaken the work of churning out these little boxes of corporate servants, right? And making each human as pixel like as possible so that they can be one of the pixels that makes up the larger graven image, right? To be held up before Moloch, an offering to Moloch, and say, well, how about this, Moloch? How did we do? Does this honor you? Right? And that's really what's happening here spiritually. Spiritually, that's exactly what's happening. We can debate, well, it's not Moloch, it's this. That's fine. We can talk about the circumstances. Broad strokes, I'm right on the fucking money here. What I'm describing, broad strokes, is exactly what the fuck is happening. Okay, I shouldn't say exactly, but broad strokes, this is what's happening. It is. And yes, anybody listening to this is endowed with a creative force that never lies dormant and has the ability to put their head in the sand and to double down on their own delusion. The idea that, well, that's not the case. What loving God would do this? God is Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, you fucking bozos. Don't you get it? God, and I don't even like using that terminology in this context, but what people, when they get mad at God and they say, well, what kind of loving God would do this? I say, what do you mean? That loving God is some version of Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. Forget about this intelligent fucking scientific creator in the lab with his white coat and the fucking, making concoctions and creating life. That's fucking garbage. That's bullshit. It's that essence, the force. If we're going to humanize it, it's Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk bebopping around. People are trying to warn him and say, hey, man, look out. We've entrusted you. You possess all our greatest riches, which would be what? Creative force, pureness, and innocence of spirit. That would be the highest that would be the highest possible wealth in this realm. And if you are what I am, you're the wealthiest person in this realm. You are, if you are what I am. I am the wealth. I am the value. I am that one. So this idea of, well, people being angry at God and what kind of loving God would do this, that's the wrong approach to the problem. Antithesis is responsible for all of that, not thesis. Thesis would never do that. Thesis can't even conceptualize birth defects or a corporate hellscape. Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk is unable to conceptualize calamity whatsoever. That's why he can't heed the warnings. It's not he's not careless. He's not uh, foolhardy, although maybe he is. I don't know. He specifically lacks the capacity to conceptualize potential calamities. That's me. That's what I am. What I am can't conceptualize all of this. And that is the book of Job. The story of the book of Job makes total sense in this context. Because in the story of Job, the sons of God, whatever that is, I take that to mean delusionalized, delusory, right? Delusionalized aspects. Because if they are the sons of God, then they would have to be one with that force, right? Same with my immanent soul, if that's a thing. So my own life is a delusion based on the false idea that it's possible, except in a delusion, to break off a chunk of an indivisible force, the most super intelligent force of love and creation possible at the highest levels of vibrational frequency, a quickening spirit, that it's possible to break off a chunk of that and then put it into a human body in a physical realm and give it a name and slap it on the behind and say, off you go, little Benton. Make your way in the world, do us proud. That's Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. That's me. So the story of Job is the sons of God delusionalized aspects on some level, thinking they're fucking angels or fallen angels or whatever they think they are, right? Whatever they believe themselves to be, bebopping around, going to present themselves unto the what? What they believe to be the source of creation, perhaps unaware that that's them, right? So maybe they're seeking a return to source. I don't fucking know. I'm speculating here. What does the Bible say? And Satan or antithesis came also in their midst, and they weren't aware of it. So what I take this to mean, based on the recent knowledge of true knowledge of self, is that means everywhere proposition or thesis goes, antithesis must also go, and it doesn't have free will. It has no choice. Creation, thesis, proposition, it gets to choose where to go. It gets to choose how to create and unfold and worship what? Itself. Through what? The continuous, uh, you know, what is it? The continuous renewing of spirit. Basking in its own renewal of its own spirit. Right. Does sounds like worship to me. I don't know. Go to your Wiktionary or whatever you use for a dictionary. I have an app, an offline app, uses Wiktionary.org. It's the meaning of the term worship. We just don't, because we don't even understand our own bastardized language, and again the royal we, because people don't even have a grasp of the meaning of the terms of their own bastardized, bad on purpose, intentionally confusing language. Right? Imagine going to the trouble of coming to this place and not even bothering to master the fucking language. Goodness gracious. Sakes alive. So yes, the continuous renewing of the spirit. And but go out here and worship God, but make sure to always refer to it as something outside of you that's great and powerful, the mighty and powerful Oz. But don't ever look behind the curtain to discover that's me. Because Moloch's machine is set up where I'm able to do pretty much anything I want to do if I'm willing to accept the consequences, except look behind the curtain and understand what I am within this delusion. Rushing nesting dolls of delusion. So here's how this is the process whereby the realm comes into existence. Is because thesis or proposition becomes aware of antithesis, and in the spirit of Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk wants to be helpful and wants to be friendly and wants to have a good interaction. So in the book of Job, greets antithesis and says, "Hey, what's up, Satan? How you living, partner?" And Satan goes, "Oh, you know how I do, just roaming to and fro, seeking whom I may devour." Now, this again, the spirit of Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk can only ever want to be helpful and says, "Oh, really? Have you considered my servant Job?" Because proposition or thesis would know, oh, well, Job is what I am. And again, Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk cannot even conceptualize what catastrophes could befall Job. Has no frame of reference for this. No idea. Can't conceptualize. And furthermore, the spirit of that force that knows itself to be greatest above all would probably have some idea of, well, if he now antithesis is saying, hey, man, just take away all these blessings and he'll curse you to your face, meaning, in fact, he will curse his own nature entirely. He will, in fact, view his great blessing, the greatest wealth possible, he will come to view it as a curse. That's the spiritual war. That's the wager between thesis and antithesis. That's what this delusion is. That's what the simulation is. It's thesis undertaking and seeking to invalidate the validity, to invalidate creation itself, and to say, I am the usurper. And in fact, for antithesis to say, well, it turns out I was greater than that creation all along. That's what this is, folks. That's what this is. Act accordingly. Now, I don't like to give advice, but that's maybe a reminder to myself. Anyway, we'll chill it out a little bit there, and if I can find my chocolate bar, we'll have a chocolate bar. There it is. What a blessing! But that's what it is. It's to subvert Job's creative force into cursing his own blessing. That's what antithesis seeks to do. Hang on, we're racing because we have to have a race because the lanes. We're going down to one lane, so yeah, I see the 55 zone, but we have to race each other. So I'm going 80. 80 and a 55 because it's a race. People cannot control themselves enough to not race each other to the fucking where the lane comes down to one. We have to race. It's something about human nature. It just has to do this. And now maybe it's just more and more people like myself have figured out that, I have to go as fast as humanly possible. Maybe it's just now everybody thinks we have to race. I don't know. Either way, it's annoying. And really, it's the big rigs are just simply unwilling to slow down for this. So they de facto create the race. Yeah, now we're going 55, like we should have been going the entire time. Now everybody's completely fine with going 55, but we all had to go 80 in a 55 because the lane was going to end. We have to race. But, who's going to go 100 to actually beat everybody to the spot? So we all have to go 80. Fucking stupid. Here I am participating in stupidity, though. What else am I going to do? So when a person gets angry with what they call God, and Moloch's machine has fucking run a train on their ass, and they think that that's somewhere outside of them, the kingdom of God is within you. It's right there in the book, Christians. So when they've let Moloch's machine, because their parents knowingly or unknowingly sacrificed them to Moloch when they were babies, so of course they think God is anywhere but within them, right? God's everywhere but inside of them. Well, of course they're angry with that force because they don't their life's not turning out properly. You know why their life's not going well? Because they're not tapped into what they are inside of themselves. Because they will do anything externally to avoid exploring their internal space. And I have a lot of disdain for my fellow men and women because they will do damn near anything to avoid looking within themselves. Right? Kingdom of God is within them style. They'll do almost anything to avoid that. Because yeah, that's troubling and ugly and pain. Yeah, I get it. I know exactly how painful and disorienting and arduous. Yeah, I know because I've done it. Right. The only way out is through. It's about the full acceptance of exactly what the fuck is going on in there. Yeah, it ain't pretty much of the time. It ain't pretty. And how else do we account for the off the charts levels of repressed homosexuality in the so-called truth community? I mean, it's astonishing because it's just they will not examine what's going on in there. Because the first time, yeah, they'll start to, and then it's like, oh my God, you mean I might be looking at that guy's butt? Oh my God, well, no more of this, no more introspection. You mean I might be in the course of meditation and observing my internal space? God forbid I looked in a guy's ass. Who cares? Am I really going to let a dude's ass prevent me from true knowledge of self? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You got to pass me, Bubba. This guy's going to run me over. Guy almost hit me. Almost fucking hit me. I'm turning the flashers on. It's just big rig after big rig trying to run me off the road out here. Fuck it. I'm riding with the flashers on. They can go fuck themselves. They don't know they're not in California yet. And I'm going 65, so they think they're speeding probably. It's like, no, man. Probably they're being reminded that if they think they're in California, it's reminding them they're only supposed to go 55 because it's the state speed limit for trucks statewide. And everybody's slowing the fuck down. It's like, why don't they realize you're free to go as fast as you're fucking going legally, even though I'm going slower? Like, this is how dumb people are. You're not going to get a ticket because the cop thinks you're going fast because I'm going slow. It's not how it works, dummies. Just look at these morons. Complete fucking morons. Some kind of domestic dispute going on, perhaps, side of the road. So what happens for most people, if they actually start to explore that internal space, the very first uncomfortable thing they find, they're done with it, right? It reminds me of something that I forget who said this, but it might have been Alan Watts. It was probably Alan Watts. He's talking about how one of his uncles or somebody was all a big time Bible believing Christian, and probably this is some version of Alan Watts telling a joke, but he considered the Bible to be the Bible with the concordance to be just the fucking direct word of God and all of this. But then he read something one day that disturbed him, something about an ass or a donkey or whatever. And he said once he read that, it disturbed him so much he was done with it. He was just completely turned us back on the book and the religion, just completely, right? It's kind of the same thing. It's like, we everybody claims to want to be a good person and then wants to grow and evolve, or at least wants to be seen that way. And if I'm here to suggest, well, actually, the only way that's possible is within one's own sphere of influence. And maybe they'll get motivated enough to actually go start exploring. And most people, the very first disturbing thing about themselves that they discover, they're done with it forever. Forever. And I'm here to tell you, anybody that will not internalize, also, people will still internalize, meaning they will choose to take on guilt and shame that don't belong to them also. But I mean, when I say internalize, that refuse to turn their creative force and their energies inwardly, and will only ever direct their efforts externally into Moloch's machine, that's to feed the beast. Because what? Because the moment they try to explore their internal space, they find something uncomfortable. Why do you think I come on here from one of the most, and I grew up in one of the most repressive cultures possible, and I just talk about that on some level, in the past, I've had attractions to other males. It's like, because I'm not going to let that limit me. And it ain't me anyway. Are you crazy? Because I explored my internal space so thoroughly, I had no choice but to accept, well, I guess I do just think some of these dudes look good. I mean, what else is there to say? I can't, there's no version. It's not possible to face the reality of whatever the fuck is happening inside of myself without accepting, yeah, I guess I do like the cut of a fella's jib from time to time. I don't know. There's no other way to fucking access it. It is what it is. Who cares? I don't care. I'm not out here acting on it. Who fucking cares? Who cares? What does it matter anyway? What does it matter? Eating the chocolate. Bear with me. And Moloch's machine gets a lot of mileage and knows that most people, the vast majority of everybody, doesn't have the first idea about how to manage themselves when approaching, oh, I'm going to eventually master an area of my life, whether it's spiritual, how women perceive me, my interactions with women, whatever that is, a sport, right? Like, I taught myself how to at least start to master things when I was a child, folks. I taught myself that. As a minor child, I figured out and taught myself how to approach something like spiritual growth and transformation. Getting good at basketball, right? Uh, Eventually, as an adult, how to deal with broads, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. even learning how to go out and interview for jobs, right? Whatever, how to drive a truck. I manage that process. All of that, getting my CDL, getting a job, living at the Salvation Army, getting my CDL through CDL school, going through my company training with my first company. I managed all of that. It's my job. Moloch's machine is set up to where the individual will always farm out their own responsibility to the realm itself. So, of course, if the person actually gets with it enough to start looking at what's going on inside of them, the first uncomfortable, ugly truth, they're done. They can't handle it. You can't handle the truth of what's going on inside of you right now. You ain't shit. I'm just going on the internet where my mama listens to some of this saying, yeah, every once in a while I look at a guy and I'm like, yeah, it's a good looking dude. And, maybe a lesser evolved version of Benton might want to get him some of that. Who cares? Moloch's machine don't care. That's who don't give a fuck. Moloch's machine. Most of the people at your church don't give a fuck. I promise you that. Some do. That's probably the ones who are repressed. The ones who actually give a fuck is usually the ones who can't face it within themselves, or don't know it's there, or who still know it's there on some level. Who cares? I don't give a fuck. I stopped giving a fuck about that long ago. I only really started telling people because it's like, well, I can just kind of tell. I can tell that they can kind of tell. In the olden days, nobody could tell. So it's like, there's really no reason to mention it. Why would I? And I wasn't acting on it anyway. Who cares? I'm a little freaked out by it. I'm supposed to be. And I can't be the only one in the so-called church community that's looked inside of himself and found some uncomfortable. I'm a bully. I'm a bit of a bully at times. Hey, I don't like that. So what? So what? Deal with it. Put your big boy or your big girl pants on and fucking deal with it. Pussies. Bunch of pussies. Grown adult babies. And a lot of people, nobody's ever talked to them this way. I was a little bitty kid getting some version of this kind of talking to. Well, I think that's probably a little too much too early, but better than not enough ever, right? Motherfucking 50-year-olds ain't never been guided and steered and corrected. Well, in this delusional realm of Moloch's machine, it's for the individual to develop that for themselves. That's discipline. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. Discipline. But I don't like the things about myself. Well, I don't know, man. I just was okay with it long enough to finally figure out. Guess what? That's not me anyway. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is the fact that confess, repent, ask forgiveness, seek forgiveness, and forgive it. That's not me anyway. It never was. Right? None of that was ever me in the first place. What I am is not involved in any of that. Whether it's lust, whether it's any of the sins, the so-called 7 deadly sins. That ain't me, man. What I am can't even experience any of that except within this delusion. What are we even talking about? I'm not trying to get people to come out of the closet. The point I'm making is I've detected there's a whole bunch of repressed homos. So there's a bunch of them. And it's nothing worse than a repressed homosexual. At least actual gay dudes are kind of fun at times, and I don't mean sexually, right? Nothing more, other than a dry drunk, there's nothing more miserable and just horrible to be around than a fucking repressed homo. Sick. Bunch of goddamn queens. Too scared to just. Also, don't have to act on it. I'm proof of that. You don't have to act on it. Goodness gracious. But this idea that, oh, well, Benton's the only one, ever fancied a fella. Are you crazy? That's just not possible. It's simply impossible. Probably I'm the only one with the balls to just say, fuck it, who cares? And I suspect all along I knew it really doesn't fucking matter anyway. It really doesn't fucking matter anyway. Because I've been telling them for years, when they call me faggot, I say, you know what I said to them? I said, bend over, I'll show you who the faggot is. We'll find out real quick. This guy's, their fucking eyes get big as saucers because half of them repressed. Half of them fantasizing. I said, look, that's fantasizing. I pointed out before and said, look, he's fantasizing. I've done that in public. I said, bend over. I'll show you who the faggot is. What you gonna tell me, partner? I know exactly what's going on inside of me. And would never act on that. I'm making a point. It's almost like a spiritual thing. Like, hey man, what is it exactly you trying to turn me into something that you want? That word ain't never applied to me. They're trying to turn me into something that they can't even, that they desire and can't even face that they desire it. And I'm just like, I hate to break it to you, buddy. I know exactly what's going on inside of me. I ain't no bottom, so I don't know what to tell you. You know they're repressed when they can't figure out, can't tell a top from a bottom, motherfuckers. Are you kidding me? Actual gay dude, take one look at me, know exactly what I am. Fucking real quick. But again, that ain't me. I was in a delusion based on an idea of Benton growing up in a specific cultural context. Who the fuck knows what they did to me as a child? I don't fucking know what they did to me as a child. I'm sure it wasn't anything good. I don't remember. I know I was raised in a mind control cult that literally shields child abusers. Who the fuck knows? Don't know. Don't really care at this point. I know for years of my life, we would drive past one of those kinder care. If I ever caught sight of the branding and the, like the outside of a kinder care, I was briefly sent to kinder care as a child. I don't know what they did to me, but it took years before every time I saw a kinder care, I was filled with a rage that I, to this day, can't describe to you. And finally, it just wore off, and I don't experience that anymore. I mean, I was 12, 13, 14 years old, just filled with a rage, an indescribable rage. I don't know what they did. I have no fucking idea what they did to me. Something had to have been something. I don't fucking know what it was. Something. Again, that wasn't me, right? But if I'm not willing to accept the possibility, if I go into Moloch's machine and say, well, my parents would never have had an intention to send me off to a daycare, and then, how the fuck do I know? I don't know any of that, right? I don't know what the fuck happened. Maybe they signed me up for it. I don't fucking know. I'm not accusing them. I don't know. I know that I don't remember large fucking vast swaths of my childhood. That's got to mean something. Like, I mean, just don't know what the fuck happened. Don't remember it. Mm. And how can that not be for the best? Right? It ain't me anyway. Everybody's got some version of that going on inside of them. And that's specifically what will prevent them from ever getting to the heart of matters inside of themselves is their own weakness, their own just they can't tap into the power of what they are, the greatest wealth possible. They can't get to it because Moloch's machine has seen to it that they just are simply unwilling to explore. The major difference between me and them is I just said, fuck it, I'm going in. I'm going in, come what may. I'm coming out the other end of this thing regardless. I was all in, I've committed myself, and I've done it. And that's my spiritual victory. And part of that was the willingness to surrender myself to just, I don't know what's in there, but we're finna find out. But I'm pretty good with the deductive reasoning. I can speculate, right? We certainly have the stories of what was supposedly going on in some of these daycares in the 80s, right? This would have been, the early 80s. Barely even the 80s, it's like damn near it's still the 70s, right? As a trucker passes me and slows down, that's always an interesting move. Maybe he didn't see that he's going uphill, perhaps. I'm already going fairly comically slow here. Because when I tried to go 65, they wanted to run me off the road. They turn the flashers back on. They can't figure out how slow I'm going. Lights 5, if that's okay. If y'all don't mind, what I am is incapable of experiencing guilt or shame. Now, most people utilize what to deal with guilt and shame? They utilize repression, and repression is always harmful to the individual. I'm not talking about repression. And just in a vacuum, teaching myself not to repress was a big damn deal. I want to be clear about that. Just that was a process. Just that one thing. To unlearn the ongoing repressive, whatever that is, that just most of us do effortlessly, it seems. Is this now the truck stop exit? Yes, this has become the truck stop exit. I thought I was going to pull over and take a leak, but I'm not able to stop on the off ramp because it's destroyed. But since we're in a car, I can actually just take the side road. So I guess that's what we'll do. Although there is no side road, as I now discover. But either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there's not enough shoulder to it's a foot between the asphalt and the shoulder. Anyway, I'll be right back. And also something else that happens in the desert, I've noticed. This is not the first time I've noticed this. If I'm in my little car and I just take an exit, there's a pretty decent chance of somebody, especially a big rig, just following me off the exit. There's nothing here. There's just nothing. There's a couple of big rigs pulled over, but I wasn't even able to hit the shoulder. But I look in my mirror and I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to just be able to take a piss. Oh no, there's some bozo 18-wheeler following me off the fucking off ramp. You know, now we know what it probably is. Truckers are creepy fucking weirdos. You know, probably looking for something, right? Creepy fucking weirdos. It's like, no, bro, I'm looking for a place to take a piss, sir. If you don't mind. And then he just got right back on the interstate once he saw that I was just getting out of the fucking way trying to do whatever I'm trying to do. Fucking weirdos, man. There's zero chance he would have taken that exit if he hadn't seen that I took it. Zero. And this is just your average person. This is just how people are. Your average person will just watch what another person does and will just do whatever that is. Doesn't really matter what the fuck it is. They'll just do it. That's your average person. And I don't respect that. I never have. It's like, what's the fucking point? Interesting. Oh. Now both. Oh shit! Hang on, I left the phone on the hood. Let's not do that. Oh fuck, that'd be a bad idea. Now I see both of my front amber corner lights are out. Previously, just one was out. That's actually kind of better because now it doesn't stick out as much. So it's actually probably a good thing. I never got around to replacing one. But again, these are the people who are going to, you know, when things get bad enough, they're going to rise up and fix this place. Like, listen, number one, that's not going to happen. Number two, they're not capable of fixing any of this. Are you kidding? Are you watching how these people behave? They're not. They lack the capability. They don't have what it takes to fix this place. They don't. The idea that that we get from movies and TV and history that it's possible for a group to come together and then the leadership will deputize individuals to go out and do these missions and fix shit. That's a fucking fantasy. That does not exist in real life. There's no precedent for that. You can't point me to a single instance of that ever happening. Ever. It's not a thing, folks. It doesn't exist. What exists is Moloch's machine and people behaving based on how Moloch's machine programs their psychology. That's what exists. Outside of that, you can't tell me of a single time that, just this group of people in a fucking vacuum with no intervention on the part of the system or the government or, various representatives of Moloch's machine where they just chose to take ownership of whatever undertaking and just went out and did it. It's never happened. It's never happened. Part of being a de facto insane person, and I don't mean me, I mean the general public is de facto insane. Part of being an insane person is to actually believe that the system's notion of, groups of people could just go out here and problem solve and create and operate systems. And no, they can't. People can be psychologically programmed and act on their programming, or they can do what I've done and become some version of their own like holistic fucking discrete unit who's still some of the time defaulting to operating based on mind control, right? Who still does serve as an agent of the machine at times. That's it. There's no other possibilities, folks. There's no other possibility. So my greatest is, you know what people tell me? You know what I've been hearing for years that people talk off? Oh, that's black and white thinking. That's black or white thinking. Motherfucker, that's some of the best thing possible. Are you crazy? Once I accept that, oh wow, this only really these possibilities, you gonna tell me within a system of almost completely comprised of binary systems, I could ever be a mistake? That sounds like Moloch's machine talking. That sounds like system speak, though. Black or white thinking, are you crazy? So the same people who will mob around talking about, oh, it's a simulation. Oh, you mean zeros and ones, computer code? That's the same motherfuckers who'll be like, oh, that's black or white thinking. Oh, you mean zeros and ones like computer code? Okay, I got it. Let me not fall victim to that uh, black or white thinking, a zero or a one in a goddamn binary system of a simulation. Let's not do that, idiots. Idiots. And I'm not calling the listener an idiot. I'm that's the just to the heavens, idiots. Fucking idiots. Oh, that's black or white thinking. Yeah, oh, exactly. And it's extremely useful when utilized properly. Very useful. Very useful when utilized properly. I'm proof of that. Very, very handy. Are you crazy? And yeah, the general public is de facto insane. So the answer is yes, they are crazy, sir. Hold on. Add on. We've got we spilled the chocolate earlier. We find the spilled chocolate before it melts into the seat again. That's already happened. Yeah, I guess that's as much of it as I can find. I'm sure there's more somewhere. Wasn't smart enough to look for it when I was stopped, though. Oh well. Such is life, as they say. And we get to rinse the mouth again. That one little square of chocolate, I don't think was worth it, though. I still don't think I don't feel like I ate a whole chocolate bar. I think there's more somewhere. I don't know where it went though. I thought it was all one chunk, and when I turned it over to get it out of the package, I realized, oh, it's broken. Oops. I put my flashers on, and this bozo won't pass me. Again, followers just looking for something to follow. Don't really care what it is. Anything will do, even if it's a, you know, from their perspective, crazy person driving a Nissan Versa back and forth across the fucking desert. Well, let's follow them. They'll do. It's good enough. Good enough. 49-year-old man in a Mickey Mouse car going 65 and a 75 in the middle of the night. Just follow him. I mean, after all, he's ahead of us, so he's got to know something, right? He's ahead of us. That's got to mean, well, I don't know, man. Does that really mean what you think it means? And that's the same people, oh, that's black or white thinking. It's like, I don't know. Do you really want me to point out all the potential flaws in y'all's thought process? Is that what oh, here's the chocolate. I found it. Found it. All right, fantastic. Y'all really want old Benton here pointing out all the flaws in everybody else's thinking? That's probably not what we want. But maybe we're going to accuse Benton of black or white thinking. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I get it. Like I sympathize. What people don't realize, another part of Moloch's machine, and this is where the undiagnosed fake autism, super high functioning retarded person, this is where I have an advantage. People don't realize that, when if they are brave enough to look into their internal space and examine what's going on in there, and then they feel some type of way about it, nothing needs to be done about that emotion, right? And since I'm set up to not experience the present moment at the level of emotions, and the vast majority of the populace feels their way emotionally through the present moment. I have perceptions, ideas, and thoughts. I have emotions, but they're not generally tied to whatever's going on in the moment. Generally, although they can be, right? Just like a more emotional type, the emotion, the feelers, the sensor feelers can also have thoughts about it's kind of the same thing. They can also have thoughts about the present moment. It's not, mutually exclusive. It's more of a propensity, right? But it's okay to just feel your feelings and not do anything about them. This is one of the major confusions is almost everybody is suffering from the misapprehension that something has to be done about their feelings. Absolutely not. They're emotions. They feel however they feel, and that's the end of it. Nothing has to be done to resolve the feelings. But the same person who has no problem mobbing about, moving about, living their lives with unreconciled thoughts and ideas, right? With all sorts of contradictions in their head, that's completely fine. I'm here to say, well, that's a mistake. The same person is unwilling to have unresolved emotion. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Sometimes it's just a person feels some type of way, and that's just how they feel, and then it's neither here nor there. Oh, they're going to seek to resolve those emotions. They're going to seek to act on those emotions. It's backwards. Those same people have no problem with these contradictions and these unresolved ideas rattling around in their heads. Like, why is that? What the fuck is that? Again, de facto insane, backwards, inverted. They're processing their thoughts the way they should be processing their emotions, and vice versa. They're processing their emotions like they should be processing their thoughts. It's backward, ass backwards. You know what? As a retarded person, I've chosen to put a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of struggle into even being able to express and move through and figure out what are these emotions. In the past, it was like, oh, I can just repress all this. Meanwhile, I don't even know what this is. I don't know what this is. And I think with a lot of people's thoughts, they don't know what that is. It's like, okay, there's thoughts. What is that? Well, see, it's backwards for me. As an unevolved person, it was like, yeah, those are feelings. I don't know what that is. Like for real. And then, but the emotional types will say, what do you mean you don't know what that is? And I will be treated like I'm stupid. And I'll say to them, don't you understand that this is how I made a 99 on the ASVAB? It's because from my perspective, I can look at you and go, what do you mean you don't know what all these ideas are? It's the same fucking thing in reverse, you idiots. So I'm acknowledging that I've chosen to put a great deal of work into even being able to recognize what are these emotions. I'm here to tell the most of the other folks are going to have to put, they don't have to, but it would be necessary to put a lot of effort into what are these thoughts, meaning what do they signify? What do they represent? Where did they come from? What cause? I've done all of that with my emotions in order to move forward in my life, right? At the most basic level, what is this? Where does this come from? Same thing with thinking. So the people who are set up for emotions, it's easy to just steer everything into the realm of emotions. Surprise, surprise, here's Benton most of his life seeking to steer everything into the realm of logic and reason and intellectual ideas. My wheelhouse. Well, eventually, fairly quickly, it was like, okay, there's no more room for growth there. Or actually, there is, but most of the growth is over here in the emotional land. Yeah, but I don't like emotional land. So what, buddy? Same thing I would tell the people who don't want to think and don't want to figure out how to deal with ideas. Well, I don't want to deal with ideas. Yeah, exactly. That's the motivation to deal with them, is that you don't want to. Of course you don't. I also didn't want to deal with my stupid fucking emotions, and I consider them stupid. A lot of what is going on at the level of ideas is going to seem stupid. That's why people treat it like it's common sense. It's to avoid getting to know the nature of these ideas. Oh, well, that's just common sense. That's word of mouth. We just watch what other people do and do it. We just listen to what people say and act on it. That's to avoid figuring out what thoughts and ideas are in the first place. That's what that is. That's the strategies that people use to avoid figuring it the fuck out for themselves. I'm brave enough. I had the courage to just say, yeah, I was emotionally stunted. I knew I was emotionally stunted. I'm not a moron, right? I'm not dumb enough to just go, well, that's common sense. That autistic people don't know what the fuck their feelings, what their emotions mean. Yeah, that is common sense. It's not good enough. Common sense ain't good enough. How about that, country folk? How about if it turns out your intergenerational grandma's, grandma's, grandma's wisdom ain't good enough? What about that? What if it turns out that your grandma's, grandma's, grandma's wisdom and common sense and word of mouth was kind of fucking stupid? What now? Oh, but it's been generation after generation after generation of continuing to march on, honoring the wisdom of the ancestors. Maybe they were fucking dummies. You ever thought about that? So this whole system of traditional word of mouth and common sense and conventional wisdom, what if it was broken from day one? Because that's how I came to view my own emotional system. It's like, yeah, this is fucking broken. I need to build a new bridge. I need to build some kind of new way of, because this is fucking stupid. I looked at my own emotional system and was like, wow, this is fucking stupid. Because it is. Because it was. It's not anymore. Because I unfucked it. I unfucked my own emotional system. Most people don't need to work on their emotional system. They need to unfuck their rational thinking and perceiving part of their brain. It's fucked. It needs unfucking. They're the only ones that can unfuck their own brains. But here's old Benton unfucked his damn emotional system and continuing to do so. Do you think I had any desire whatsoever? Quite the contrary. I was repulsed by the idea of getting to figure out what the fuck is going on with myself emotionally. First, The spiritual warrior places themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, which means, guess what, little warrior? Mile marker 303. Guess what, little warrior? Little spirit warrior? You ain't got no choice now because you placed yourself beyond the possibility of defeat. That means it ain't up to you anymore, little warrior. That means you all in, you committed to the course. Come what may. Preference don't play into it. And if there was an American Civil War and they was all dying of dysentery in some, you know, field somewhere with no sanitation, what is that? What is that? You know, what do you think their preference was? It certainly wasn't to remain in a godforsaken, pestilence-ridden, uh, flooded field somewhere and watch half of them die. Right? Just wondering, wow, I wonder if it's going to be me or not. I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the cards, but yeah, well, they were warriors on some level, whether it was just, yeah, they're going to be shot, if they try to desert, whatever that is, compelling them to stay, maybe their own honor, whatever that is. And I don't even know what this is up ahead. Somebody else going slow as fuck, so I got to pull off the road because these semis can't figure it the fuck out. We know that. We already know that, but somebody going even slower than me. So I got to just stop and let them figure it out. Some little four-wheeler. Looks like maybe they're, based on the brightness of their taillights, I'm guessing, I'm just going to go ahead and guess alternators going out, maybe. But they've created such a dangerous situation by even being on the road at all that I'm simply unwilling to continue. Because that's bad, whatever that is. I'm going to have to probably wait for these big rigs to pass, and I'm just going to have to go the normal speed. Just going to have to go 80. See, I don't have to stop and check with my emotional system and figure out, well, I'm out here on a road trip making time. I don't want to have to pull over. And that's the same thing that causes people to have gigantic wrecks and die some of the time. Because the moment I see the unsafe situation, it's like, oh, well, I got to just fucking pull off the road here. I can't drive into that. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want to pull over. Who cares? Who cares what you want to do? Why do you think it matters what you want to do or not do? Who the fuck are you in the first place? That's what a sage is. A sage sees danger approaching, and by the time danger happens, he ain't there. He gone. He done went somewhere else. And now I'm hurtling past this person who's going like 40 out here with their flashers on. The cop needs to find him and say, hey, man, you can't be out here driving that speed. It's unsafe. Or if you're going to do that, drive on the shoulder, not in the fucking travel lane going 35. This is insane. And, I can't do anything. And this is one of my favorite things about, being Benton, this delusionalized aspect of the most super intelligent force of love and creation possible at the highest levels of vibrational frequency, a quickening spirit. I can't do anything about anybody else's plight, meaning that's exactly how I know that I'm not supposed to do anything about it. So if y'all haven't noticed, there's a lot of pressure brought to bear by Moloch's machine within this delusion. It's such the idea of, if I'm going to go out here and speak publicly about all of these matters, that I'm now deputized to intervene and try to help people. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't have any power to intervene on somebody else's behalf. That's not how it works here. That's exactly how I know that it's only ever what I'm speaking on is only to be applied to me. I'm preaching all of this because some people will hear this, or more correctly, there, if in fact other beings exist, and it's not just me. And however, I do benefit because I'm listening to myself break all of this down. I benefit from this. How do I benefit? It's called the MBTI. I'll tell you in a moment if I remember, but I want to finish on this point. I can prove logically, so it's an emotion. See, a person has a feeling. It feels right to them. Well, Benton, you're the one that seems to have all the answers. It's your job to lead the way. That's a feeling. Well, it turns out emotions by nature are irrational. And I know that doesn't feel good, but it's true. My mama hated that. When I told that to my mom, oh, it burned her up. It's not any less true, lady. Meanwhile, I'm Frankenstein's monster, lady, and you're Frankenstein. I guess you shouldn't have dragged me to the Kingdom Hall and had me singing, "We're Jehovah's Witnesses. We speak out in fearlessness." I guess you shouldn't have, when I know something to be true, I just sing it from the fucking rooftops. That's the nature of emotion, is irrational. That's its nature. It's what it is. It doesn't mean it's not capable of expressing rationally. By nature, it's irrational. It's yin and yang. Thoughts by nature are rational. However, they are able to express irrational. It's yin and yang, right? I already forgot what I was trying to put a pin in, but maybe I'll remember. Something interesting. Maybe I'll get back to it in a moment, perhaps. Getting lost in my own sauce now. And so what the system will do is it will apply pressure where nothing can grow or take root, and have people out here acting in ways that can never bear fruit. I can logically prove that, yeah, I understand that it feels like I'm now deputized to lead the way and help y'all. No, I'm not. I don't have any power over y'all. I have absolutely no power to intervene. My only power is to apply all these processes to me inside of myself. That's me. It's never that's you, right? It's never that, ever. It's only ever that's me, ever. It's how it works here. Because it could very well be solipsism, and it is on some level. Meaning, on some level, I'm the only being that matters here. Surprise, surprise, I have power over exactly one being. And that's a delusion. How can I wield power? Man will dominate man unto his own injury. How can I ever, if what I am, and I know myself to be this, is one with the most super intelligent force of love and creation possible at the highest levels of vibrational frequency, I can't ever wield power over that. That's the opposite of worship. That's antithesis, being sick and twisted and decadent and depraved. And saying, well, yeah, you can absolutely, yeah, Benton, you can, I can offer you the kingdoms of the world. You can have power over. There's a few morons dumb enough to follow your bozo lead. So go ahead and start a cult, sir, and you'll feel powerful and have access to whatever you'll have access to. It's like, no, man, I'm good on all that. No thanks. No, thank you. Yep, pass me at my own speed. You can't just keep going 80 because somebody's going 65. You got to slow your roll because we hate to feel it's guilt and shame because if they imagine the cops seeing them, oh my God, I'm going so much faster than that car. Yet legally, you're legally going that much faster than that other car. It's completely fine. Oh, guilt and shame, guilt and shame, guilt and shame. Improper motivation. Unfuck yourselves. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to talk about. But I don't know. I probably touched on it somewhere in there. Probably without knowing it. Like Bruce Lee's, the punch just punches for itself. It doesn't have to be told to punch. Oh, man. Woo! Driving all night. Oh, man, I could just about pull over and take a nap. Just about. Just about. Oh, man. Well, actually, it's time for more coffee. We passed the truck stop a while back. I think there's probably another one before we get into Albuquerque. How many miles to Albuquerque? Yeah, 131. Is that what that said? 131 to Albuquerque, 271 to Gallup. Anyway, I guess I'll check the chat. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, this is interesting. Soul Read Analytics says the experiment is everyone acting like Jesus. Well, I see no evidence of that, Soul Read Analytics. So I would need you to expound further because I see no evidence to support your conclusion there. In fact, I would say that if that was the case, society could not be the way that it is. But I think you probably mean something other than what you typed there, I suspect. Oh, definitely not angry. You do recognize that some people, now I'm being accused of being angry. Uh, why are you a pussy is what I would say. Why are you too much of a puss to handle a strong male voice, right? Uh, where's your father and can I meet him, please? Right? Because I'm almost certain either you had no father or you had a weak father because uh, where I come from, we can all handle a strong male voice. And we don't always associate a loud male voice with anger. See, right? It's possible to raise one's voice and not be in anger, but when one was raised by mommy, that shrill, nagging tone, that's always anger. That's never not anger. Mommy, in some way, her life is lived from angry moment to angry moment. You know, father's life While certainly some of it is expressions of anger, my own father included, and certainly I've been very in touch with my own anger in the past. That's how I know I'm not in fact experiencing anger. Now I will say this: was I expressing anger? Yeah, I was. You know why? You know why I was expressing my anger? Because I still have some repression from the past. There's still some stagnated energies and emotions. Some of that is the form of anger. So guess what? Some of that was energies in my own energy sphere that saw the exit and said, "This is a good time for us to make our way out of here." And so I intuitively knew to raise my voice. And what is the voice? The voice is energy. It's the word of God. The voice is a sound vibration. So that's the energies. I'm putting the energies out in the ether. So it's not why am I yelling? It's why are you listening to someone who some of the time will express himself in these ways? Well, it's probably because you're attracted to that, probably, if I was to speculate. And now, why are you attracted to it? It's probably because either no father or ineffectual father, which is sometimes even worse. And mommy, when she raised her voice, it was because her emotions need to be placated. So, again, not to demean or insult the women, but part of the plight of the woman, and in fact, most of the males, but I call it the tail end of my culture, the culture in which I was socialized, demanded that I pass from boyhood into manhood through formalized rites of passage. A lot of that involves putting one's own emotions and putting one's own welfare to the back seat, to the back burner, and then doing whatever needs to be done to what? To actually serve the women and children, right? To give the women and children what they need, right? Responsibly. And my father was a lot of things. He was never irresponsible when I was a child. My father was very, very responsible. Part of that was, by God, he was going to do what he was going to check all them boxes come what may. And yet, times did he get angry and lash out? Of course he did. Of course he did. It wasn't his primary mode of operation, you know, more so fear and intimidation, instilling of fear and being intimidating and just scary as fuck. So I'm sorry, whoever that was that I banned, who's probably already back under another name. I'm sorry that you didn't have that in your life. Now go ahead and lie to me and tell me that you did, and I'll say, well, no, you didn't, because it wouldn't have failed in this way. It would not have failed this thoroughly. And it's a rare trucker that figured out what I just did, because I'm going slow, and then here come another person going even slower than me, so I just fucking nailed it 180. Got out of there and flashed his lights to let me know to thank me. Now, don't try to follow me, buddy. Don't try to do that. I'm out here getting fuel economy. Don't think you're going to follow me to the promised land. That's not a thing. But, namaste, trucker. Namaste. But either way, um, might be a truck stop up ahead. Might be time for more coffee, perhaps. Add on. Add on. Oh, man. Give me a second. I want to. Such a bozo. I got to tell the GPS to drive me to the truck stop, or I might just drive right past it again. Truck stop. Oh, whoopski. Whoopski. Oh, there we go. Where am I? Okay, yeah, what is this? Loves. But there's a pilot on the right, so it's pilot it is. Even though I would prefer the loves. I don't know, we'll go the loves. It's not that far. It's not that bad of an inconvenience. Yeah, loves it is. We'll get a proper coffee cup. All right. Anyway, let me check the battery levels while we're at it. 49%. I can't do nothing about the fact that most of these boys never became men and weren't raised properly. Like I can't do anything about that. It's not my job, not my duty. Figure it out. I think they're already gone. That was probably a comment from a long time ago. It's like, why are you yelling? It's like, oh, I can express that as long as I express it like mommy did. Because mommy expresses it passive aggressively and has little freakouts here and there, right? So this is a bunch of males who got raised by mommy and no daddy, or an ineffectual daddy, which is worse, right? A man ain't a man, got a woman for a boss. So it's like that same woman was unwilling to have a fella in her life that would just say it like it was, and if he needed to fucking shout her down, he would. Now, meanwhile, that he's already failed if he's having to shout her down. That ain't allowed. But all the passive aggression of the female, that's allowed. See, the woman is able to express all the same energies and worse, as long as she does it in a way that seems okay. But we can't have a man out here with a dick and balls, a big chest beating male, right? Rootin' tootin', full of testosterone. We can't have him out here with his loud ass, strong ass, masculine voice. That's not allowed. See, so if you ever want to know, who rules over you, what are you not allowed to criticize? Well, you can't never criticize mommy and passive aggression, right? But that's the same thing. It's the same form of energy. It's delivered in a different way. So because I'm unwilling to make myself, to lower myself to expressing what I'm expressing in the improper form, right? To be bitch made, right? Grab your nuts, fellas. See, first thing what I do is I grab my nuts. I take my hand and I reach down with my big old gigantic paw and I reach down between my legs and I grab my gigantic sack of nuts. And sometimes I just leave my hand there and I kind of cock my head to the side. See, mama can't never live that spirit for one moment of her life. Now, sometimes some of these broads, because the males are so ineffectual, sometimes one of these aggressive broads gets on too much Adderall and gets her mind rewired and thinks she's the cock of the walk. And next thing you know, I'm in the day room in Eugene, Oregon. Now I'm in the day room in Eugene, right? Oh, I'm taking the exit, buddy. I'm taking the exit. You gonna slow roll all the way there, partner? You gonna slow roll all the way to the exit? Because I'm taking it. It's half a mile away. See, they can't even figure this out. Bro, you caught up to me going 80. I'm taking the exit. You could easily go around. But why was he going 80? It's the same car. It's the same person that got on the interstate going slow as fuck. Because they temporarily started following a car that's going 80. Right? See, they're not even driving their own life. See? Well, guess what? Neither was your mama. Mama wasn't never the captain of her own ship. And there never was a daddy, see? See what's happening here? Old Benton's the captain of his own ship. Because old Benton grabs his nuts, cocks his head, looks at you and says, now what? Yeah, Yeah, I got my hands on my nuts. Now what? Because where I'm from, anytime a fella wants to, he can. He's got uh the right that nobody can ever take away to grab his nuts. But yeah, back to Eugene. Yeah, now you're gonna get to now you get to just sit at a now you get to just sit at a stop sign because you wouldn't just pass me because this fella won't just grab his nuts and sack up because he's a fucking puss. And most guys are fucking pussies. That's what people don't realize is forget about the physical package. Most males are fucking pussies, and I mean most of them. 75% of all male-bodied humans are fucking pussies. Meaning I can just play the odds and more or less just wander around calling dudes pussies to their face. And most of the ones that aren't, that could kick my ass will just laugh at me and say, "Yeah, right, buddy. Yeah, right." So I could just walk around just calling guys pussies to their faces, and I've done versions of that during the pandemic, and nothing will ever happen to me. So back to Eugene, this chick at the she likes to, for some reason this woman liked to go into the men's bathroom because I guess she thought, and not a tranny, I guess she thought on some level that she just had it like that, and she I heard her a couple times she used to say this thing she'd say to the guys, she'd shame the guys and say she'd refer to her metaphorical dick, and or she'd say some version of, and my dick's bigger and it's bigger than yours, right? Well, Benton, being a strategic thinker, immediately recognized, well, lady, I know exactly what to say to you, so I bided my time, just waited. Finally, one day I walk in the men's bathroom, there she is sitting on the counter. And I just made some comment. I didn't tell her to get the fuck out of the bath. I just made a comment basically like, hey, women in the men's bathroom, what is this? And here she goes, some version of, I don't know how she launched into it, but here she goes hitting me with, and my dick's bigger than yours. I said, listen, lady, I said, I could have the smallest one on the planet and it'd still be bigger than yours because you ain't got one. And just looked at her. And there's no return from that. See, that's the expression of the male energy. I didn't go, uh, you know, I didn't go bitch made with it like your mama would have. See, I leaned into my masculine spirit. I grabbed my nuts and said, "I don't know, lady. I'm." Now it was metaphorically, but it's like, yeah, I'm feeling what I got between my legs, and even if it's the smallest one that could ever be felt, it's still bigger than yours because you ain't got one. And just looked at her, and she knew I was right. What? There's nothing she could say, and then just went to insult me. Probably. It's like, what? There's nothing she can do at that point. Same thing with your mama. It ain't my fault that these a lot of these fellas ain't got no raising. That ain't my fault. Anyway, we'll be right back. Everybody left me. Well, there's a few people here. Shout out to the chat. I finally got off my ass and cleaned the windscreen. Some townies hanging out. Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Some townies. All right. Got our coffee, clean windshield. One of these bugs, man, I scrubbed it as much as it made a streak like halfway across the glass. Scrub that thing all I want to. It's still there. I don't know what that is. It'd be a fucking bird or something. Actually, a bird hit the windshield yesterday. Maybe that's what it was. I can't call it. I've been to this truck stop. Actually, I think I went to the TA across the street in the big truck. I think I might have walked over here to the Loves, maybe. It's kind of familiar. Hard to tell. It's dark. Yeah, yeah. I might have bought beer in this town on a break. On my break, maybe. I seem to remember driving through this town and going to get some beer back in the day. Albuquerque. Go west, young man. Well, we're old. What now? I don't know. Yes, sir. We're really going 60. I know you don't believe me, but we're really going 60. Why don't y'all pass me so I can settle in at 65? I think it was like 280 to the where I was going to get fuel in Albuquerque. I think Walmart will be open by then. I need to get my eggs. All out of eggs. Can you believe that? Not an egg in the car. It's been a minute since I was just totally out of eggs. So I already scouted out my super center I'm going to stop at. Get my eggs. AIGGS. And, I think there was a Chevron nearby. 268, I believe it was yesterday. What up, Chris? Oh yeah, gigantic potholes. Gotta love it. What do y'all think? Any? It's a. I'm asking rhetorical, right? Whether or not check. Been trying to do the West Coast. Maybe hitting Vegas. It's almost the World Series of Poker, but I probably won't. It's a pretty high chance I don't do that. I'm fairly sick of poker overall, but really it would just be straight up gambling because I'm not. I'd be willing to buy in for like 500 playing PLO, but if I lost that, I would just be like, fuck it, I'm out. Would have a chance of running it up though. You never know. I got some skill at the game, but There's obviously a high luck factor, but either way, probably not going to do that, but you never know. I thought about maybe just driving down to San Diego or something and just fucking walk and or ride the bus. Just take my sweet ass time, adventuring and wandering and meandering. Problem with the car, I think I talked about this yesterday, is it's too valuable and it has a lot of conveniences, but then it's also it's a hindrance. That's the word I was looking for yesterday. It's a hindrance in many ways. It blocks a lot of experiences, and it costs money. It's, $106 a month for insurance. So even when I was talking about, I thought I found I could park it out at LAX for like a month for like $280, I think it was, somewhere 270 something. Now, whether or not they add tax to that, I mean, who even knows, or fees, but whatever. Assuming that's legitimate. Well, I still got to pay the car insurance. It's another $100 to not drive it. So you're already looking at that's effectively $400. It's like, yeah, I have it, but now we're sort of paying for a thing we don't even really want in the first place necessarily. Although, again, I can just ride the bus if I end up going to the Pacific Northwest this summer. But, the convenience of the car, right? I don't know. I guess we'll just keep thinking about it. I feel like I'll know what to do once I get there. Once I get to the West Coast, I'll feel like I'll know what to do. Perhaps a sign will appear. Here's your sign. Yeah, we should make it to the fuel stop. We'll definitely make it to Albuquerque on this amount of fuel, but we should make it all the way to the other side. This coffee's pretty good. Oh, I got the Brazilian. They got this new Brazilian. And it's probably hype, right? It's probably just my mind, well attuned to the marketing hype. It's taking in the hype, but it's fucking delicious. Placebo effect or not. And I usually go for the lighter or the medium roast. I think this is a dark roast. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, we out here on I-40 in the middle of nowhere, coming up on Albuquerque. Not a fan. Not a fan. Although I delivered to a Container Store when I worked for Balkan Express. That wasn't too bad. Container Store in Albuquerque. I wonder how those type of businesses are doing. An entire store selling containers. And as we all know, brick and mortar retail is dying, certainly. And man, I'm reminded of just where was I the other day? I was somewhere. Maybe it was Amarillo yesterday, but wherever the fuck I was, maneuvering through all these parking lots of the suburban sprawl, all the corporate stores, the mini malls, corporate hellscape, brick and mortar corporate hellscape. I like to walk. I like to park. If I'm going to several stores, I'll park and just walk. Instead of driving my car to each individual store. I like to move around on foot, and it's the worst, man. It really is the worst of humanity in a lot of ways. Just the way the parking lots are laid out, The people's mindsets trying to drive in and out of those places, trying to dodge everybody so we don't start playing bumper cars. It's like, yeah, I understand I'm making a non-standard maneuver, but so are you. And then meanwhile, I'm just trying to find some shade to park in because I have my belongings in that car, and I try to do my best to keep the old greenhouse effect at bay. I almost went ahead and put the coverings over the back windows when I was at the motel yesterday. Lovely motel, rundown, rundown motel. I like a good rundown motel motor in. Other than the carpet, I'm just not a fan of carpet in general. It was a lovely room. Small, but it's just me. Who cares? They figured it out though. They comfy bed. 'Cause usually I sleep on the floor, man. The bed, I was like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna bother to unpack. My blankets, my army style wool blankets were all the way at the bottom of my backpack. It's like, shit, I ain't even gonna bother. It's the right amount of firm on the mattress. Comfortable sheets. You think I'd have slept a little better, but air conditioner. I don't give a fuck if it looks shabby. Who cares? Everything worked. Refrigerator worked. Meth heads that they had the curtains, the blinds, but then it had the blinds you can pull up for the meth heads. They want to be able to peek out the windows. If you're ever curious, because the motels that try to do just the and really what it is they've cut up some version of a bedspread into, they make curtains out of it, right? Shades. And if you've ever noticed in these cheaper motels, the fucking meth heads put little pinholes in so they can see through that. Because they have to obsessively watch whatever's going on out in the parking lot every 2.5 seconds. And so really you need the regular I forget what they call these, but the blinds, when you pull the string. I don't know why I can't think of what those are called, but you really need both. And even then, they break off like they break off a couple of the side pieces so they can look out through the blinds. I guess they're just blinds. I bet they do Wheatley's pretty cheap. That's a town, Amarillo. If I ever thought I could actually drive a truck for any period of time, if I could find some kind of local job, I bet you I could live cheap as fuck in Amarillo. I could probably get 100. I bet I could stay. I bet they'd rent to me for 175 a week, unless it's a smaller place. So unless it's just they fill up enough. Easy and convenient to grab all my stuff out of my car. It's where I stay in Fort Smith. I like it, but it's you got to hump all your stuff. It's a bit of a hump. You can't just park right outside the front door. Does that make sense? That's not a thing there. You got to actually like walk in like an actual hotel to some extent. We trying to motor in, Jack. What you talking about? We trying to motor in? Oh, man. I talk about that poker wouldn't fit with my sleep cycle, but actually, if I actually had if I rented a room, especially for more than one night, I could actually. I've been waking up so early. I could wake up and just go to the poker room. Although one thing about Vegas, man, I don't really like the strip as far as it's quite the fucking hike to some of those poker rooms, even if you drive. And you got the monorail, but that's not really a thing. Well, I know when we stayed at the LVH, which is it's off strip, but it's close enough, and it's a fucking hump. You got to hump it over to the casinos. And I like to walk, man, but it's like fuck it. I still drove. Just not a fan. I just don't like Vegas, man. I really don't. I just don't like it. I'd probably actually be more inclined to go to Reno if I was just going to play some poker, but fuck that. I ain't driving all that way. I've never played poker in California. They have poker also. I'm probably just mostly done with poker, I have to say, for the most part. Driven 100 and about 165 miles. I think I had 22 miles when I rolled out. That's so I drove. That means I drove 22 miles around Amarillo, going from Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree to Dollar Tree. 22 fucking miles, and then to the motel, which was only like a mile away. Yeah, because I got fuel, and in fact, I drove around a little bit, and then I said, fuck it, I might as well get fuel while I'm in town. Got fuel, and then drove 22 fucking miles. That's how serious I was about these window covers. They're perfect. Well, I won't say they're perfect, but they work to cover up my windows. If I do end up going right back to Echo Park and posting up on the fucking street again, sleeping in my car. Which I don't know, man. I'm kind of over it, but I don't know. We'll see. I won't have to walk around and pick up cans and bottles. I could probably actually explore the city a little more, not being locked into a routine of a refuse gathering, right? Like some kind of some version of a peasant combing through the trash for items of value. Oh man, no, I might be running out of steam, but I got a cup of coffee here, so we'll try to keep the stream alive. I'm sure I can come up with something. Surely. Although the less identified with the realm itself is certainly not lending itself to talking about whatever's going on in the news. The terror. I'm so sick of hearing terror. I'm just the word tariff. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm over it. And I don't know, whatever restructuring they're jockeying for. I mean, I'm sure it means something. There's something going on, you know, at the higher levels, intergovernmentally, perhaps. And then I never heard anything else about it, but supposedly there was some kind of U.S. Court of International Trade or something was supposed to rule on tariffs. Did that ever happen? I saw where it was going to happen, and then I never heard anything else about it. Maybe they said it's all right. I don't fucking know. Is that even a thing? I never even heard of that. Could just be an entirely new invention for all I know. 0202. Oh, it's right. We went back. Oh, is it what? Oh, yeah, we're 2 hours. Yeah, I'm 2 hours behind Eastern now. It's only 2 a.m. Oh, shit. I got all day to listen to content. So see what we can come up with. Well, good thing I don't believe in a jinx because the old verse is running mighty fine here. Got the oil changed in Dallas. So we ain't got too many miles on this oil. And I run conventional oil in this bad boy. I just don't think it's worth the money for a car like this to even bother. And the conventional oil, man, it's fine. It's completely fine. The technology has increased. It's completely fine. And I don't know if it's they're desperate for. Actually, the oil change place was slammed when I went, but when I just Googled, Google Maps, where's the Valvoline oil change place in Dallas? I was downtown. I picked up my Amazon packages at a Whole Foods, and it gave me half off coupon. I was like, damn! It ended up being like $30 or maybe even less. Like, all right, man, sounds good to me. I used to go to Walmart and get the fucking Quaker steak for cheap, but it's like $22 or something for an oil change. But it's just gotten to where I'm not even going to let somebody drive my car because since it's a manual, it's just, and especially once I started having battery problems, it's like I don't even know. I can't even if they kill it 3 times in a row. Now we're gonna have to jump it. It's like I don't even know if it's gonna start once they kill it. So I like that Valvoline oil change because you get to drive the car. I get to stay in the car, which I don't give a fuck about that. It's that I'm driving it, the whole time. I don't have to have somebody else drive my car. Yeah, this will probably be my last manual for all these reasons and more. Moriarty, 60 miles. I always wondered if that's why Jack Kerouac made his name Dean Moriarty in On the Road. On the road, they traveled back and forth across this desert quite a bit, and they would have gone through Moriarty numerous times back in the day on actual Route 66 back then. One of my favorite books, probably my favorite novel, I guess, probably if I had to pick one. On the Road, Jack Kerouac. Famously, the first time I read it, I almost stopped. It was like the first 50 pages. I had a lot of trouble getting into it. And I was just more or less made myself read it. I've read it. I don't know. I've read it a lot of times. Great book, man. Big fan. In some ways, inspired me to travel. Also, that I mentioned it before, David Cho, uh, the artist, and claims to have been a professional gambler to some extent. But he hitchhiked around the country and rode trains and made that on Vice back in the day. Thumbs Up, which is that's an entertaining show. If anybody's looking for something to watch on YouTube, I think it's still on YouTube. Thumbs Up. If you search Thumbs Up exclamation point Vice, it should come up. Yeah, David Cho and his best friend, one of his friends, and then a cameraman hitchhiking and walking and train riding across the country. And he's from LA, Korean from LA. If anybody knows him, he's probably most known for being that Facebook. He got rich off of Facebook stock because he painted a mural for Facebook, and they said they could give him like $60,000 or he could take stock. So he took the stock, and then later on they said it was worth like 250 million or whatever that ended up being. But yeah, that's actually what got me interested. I would say in hitchhiking specifically, or just realizing, oh, I can just go place to place without really having money or not having a lot of money anyway. And then at a certain point, they would just like go to the grocery store and just get, like just cheap ass meals, making just cheap ass meals. That's, nowadays, that's not really with the internet and social media and YouTube, it's not really Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But back in the day, that sort of subculture was fairly unknown to the larger populace, right? The population at large. Oh man, there's a rest area, but I don't think we're going to nap it out just yet. Feeling good, a little groggy, nothing too crazy. Sure, got my ID. I think I double checked. Yeah, we got it. I think I double checked after the lady looked at it to check me into the motel. Make sure I had it. Oh man. And on she kept on. Nonsense. I'm putting up the banner. Nonsense. Now I can ramble, just talk about my life. What's there to talk about? Dadgum, true knowledge of self is ruining everything. I clearly don't mean that. I'm joking. So, in some ways. In some ways, I'm starting to think maybe I'm going to be indulging in some cannabis, though. I'm starting to have that feeling. Now, is that some version of amusing myself, right? So, I know I'm probably better off, taking each new day, experiencing each day, which is a gift to some extent. I'm certainly gratitude, right? An attitude of gratitude. But, life is not something, this life is not something that's being done to me. But I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. To weed or not to weed? As I bang my teeth together like a bozo. Don't you know you have a broken tooth, sir? What are you doing? Well, after this coffee, it's going to be apricot and beet time. Although it's a little early for that. Maybe I'll wait. Getting hungry, though. There's always the cookies, but I might wait for nap time for that. Out here in the middle of nowhere, y'all. Ain't nothing out here but a highway. Alone with my thoughts. There's something to the open road, man. There really is. And as much as people complain, and myself included to some extent, about the economy and all these things. I mean, the reality is, and part of this is, the fact that I am able to work as a truck driver from time to time. But I paid $4,500 for this car, and probably overpaid. Probably should have paid more, like four, and it had 70 something thousand miles on it when I bought it. Now it's got 96,000. I've already gotten my use out of it. Really had to get into it. I set tires on it. And, one thing I, is set of tires on that boy, total price was less than $300. And I even took them because Walmart was busy. I took them to a Mexican tire shop and paid them to install them. I still paid less than $300 for 4 brand new tires installed. It's like, yeah, I understand, but you know, and if I drive right, you got fuel economy. It's roomy for how tiny the car is. You know, I'm not, my self image isn't tied up in how people view me because and to be critical of especially MAGA and all this, the fact is, when you look at males in this country, a lot of them drive a pickup truck because at some point in the day they're going to pull up to the local country store. That's what they call it where I'm from. Or they're going to pull up to the local gas station where everybody knows them, and they have to pull up, and they can't pull up in anything but a pickup truck. And maybe they're driving mama's, Tahoe or whatever that day for whatever reason. And that's going to be the topic of conversation, And it's like, who cares? Like, I couldn't imagine, and I've lived that life to some extent, although I've never really cared. Maybe I was pulling up in a Camry or whatever, but I was, socioeconomically, my friends, it was like, we had whatever we could afford, whether that was a pickup, whatever that was, But, if you saw me in a V6 Camry with a gold package, it's probably just, well, that's just what he found a good deal on when he happened to have the cash to buy it, right? Certainly wasn't making payments on it. So, that version of the underclass, the great unwashed masses. But, once people get into some layer of respectability and car payments, but not a buy here, pay here type of deal, an actual, like a loan, realistically, what if a fella did want to drive a particular type of car? It's like they really don't have a choice. They have to pull up in the pickup. Like, that's not freedom, folks. That's slavery. And they can justify it to themselves all they want and try to say, oh, well, it's just what I prefer. Oh, yeah, I understand that you believe that. But meanwhile, the fact is, the way it's driven the vast majority of the time, a pickup truck is, in fact, the worst possible. It's the worst possible choice. Have you looked at the beds on most of these trucks? It's an unusable bed, number one. And I don't need people telling me that they use a truck. I'm not talking about a work truck. I'm talking about most people that drive pickup trucks, it's not a work truck. I'm not concerned that once or twice a year they use it. That's not what I'm talking about. That they use it as, I'm saying a work truck means the person uses it as a work truck Monday through motherfucking Friday. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about most people that have a pickup, like this guy at this trucking company. And then his fucking pride and joy, his precious baby, got hit with the hailstorm. And, now I got his old lady talking to me about how, she's apparently the discipline in the family. They got a dog, so that's the baby, right? So she's the discipline. And she's telling him, he's basically saying once his truck's almost paid off, so he's already talking about getting a new truck. Well, part of that is his pride and joy got hit with the fucking hailstorm, It's like, meanwhile, spiritually, what does it mean that I don't give a flying fuck about this car as far as I have no personal identification with this thing? I like the car. Like, I like small cars. It suits my purposes, There's plenty of room in here for all my bullshit that I'm carrying around with me, right? Plenty of room for how small the car is. Very roomy, again, for what it is. And my car also got hit by the hailstorm. Apparently, just about everybody's windshield and windows got busted. My glass is completely fine. It did a number on my paint, of course. The metal, and then it put a almost a perfect circle in the top of one of my side mirrors, but it did not affect the power mirror still works. It cracked my both of my tail lights, but I don't think, it doesn't look like it's causing a problem with the light leaking out. It's functionally the car is fine, you know. And I talked to another guy, this black fella from Little Rock, driver, and he was talking about his Charger. His Dodge Charger got all fucked up, and he said, yeah, he already took it to the body shop, the Mexican body shop, and gave them $4,000 to replace, you know, the windshield or whatever, and hammer out all the dents. You know, he's talking about how good the Mexicans are, and probably had to have it painted. And, but again, you know, he said some version of, you know, I work hard, so you know I want to look good when I pull up or whatever. You know what? However the blacks talk, and again, it's some version of identifying with the, which is it's fine, except you know that becomes a prison, that becomes a trap. Like it's like yeah, now the person has to show up some type of way. Like I just never believed in that. You know, just never. I never bought into any of that in my life. It just never made sense to me. It's like yeah, it's a like I have to pretty much I have to have a car and you know, yeah, I like to drive and stuff. Meanwhile, that's the entire argument for not having a pickup truck. They drive like shit, right? You know, this is not a sports car, but you know, if I actually gave a fuck, you know, it wouldn't take much. And, you know, it'd be pretty. It'll still handle a corner. You know, not in a not great, but better than a pickup. You know, and I got no beef with a pickup truck, except it's the fact that people feel like they have to have a pick, and then just all the justifications they go through for why they have to have a pickup. It's like, yeah, not really. Yeah, the two times a year you have to have a pickup. You can just go rent one, like you don't or borrow one. You don't have to have a pickup truck in the driveway. That's a choice. Just the hysterics around. Oh no, I have to have it. No, you don't have to have a pickup truck. It's not a thing. Now, some people again, oh, it's a work. Yeah, exactly, a work truck. It's we're not talking about work trucks. Nobody's talking about a work truck. You know, women drive around and not that a woman, you know, wouldn't need a pickup either, but you know, women drive around in full size pickups. I mean, it's you know, it's just not. It's not what it no longer is what people think it represents. It's simply not what it is. It's something else. It's no longer what it originally symbolized, especially when you look at the cost of some of these things. Uh, in the 90s, in like 99, well, this would have been like 2001 probably. I was working for a Walmart vendor, and I don't even remember the name of the company. Like, honestly, I've even forgot. It doesn't even matter, but I've forgotten. I could probably eventually come up with it. But we were partnered with Hewlett Packard, and we were involved in providing computers for Walmart that they used in their super centers for their associates to use. And I was providing technical support. And Walmart at the home office had this culture of Sam Walton, and to this day the home office, the actual headquarters, is intentionally kept shabby, like on purpose. It's bad on purpose. And then it's this idea of Sam Walton's old Ford pickup. So the executives at Walmart, with their high salaries and their big bonuses, they bought into this idea of driving pickup trucks, except it got bastardized into they would go out and buy a brand new dually diesel, right? And back then it was a $65,000 truck to up to 80,000 in the back then. Now they're 100 to 125,000, depending on how crazy you want to get with it for a brand new one. So at the same time, one of my Guy I worked with at Hewlett Packard just liked to drive and liked European cars. He was in his 20s, so he was making payments on a 95 BMW 5 Series, you know, 4-liter inline six, I believe, 540i or whatever, or IL. Nice car, $25,000 car, making payments on it, you know. And he made 90 G's a year. So this was a very affordable choice for him. Single man, 90 grand a year, $25,000 car, making payments. Right. And he got made fun of by the Walmart people because they all drove pickup trucks. Meanwhile, all their trucks were 2 to 3 times to 4 times the cost of his car. But he was viewed as, oh, he's putting on airs because look at him in his German BMW. It's like, yeah, it's $25,000. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? You know, he liked the car. Meanwhile, I thought it was America. Like, aren't we just? What's wrong with liking a car and like, yeah, I like this car. Like, what is this? But it's completely fine to buy a $65,000 brand new dually diesel pickup. But but they're the idea that they're living below their means. Like, what are you talking about? And it's versions of the same thing. Like, oh, it's a truck. Yeah, it's $100,000 truck. What are you talking about? $100,000 for a truck, you know. And these are the same people that will see somebody driving a Mercedes and try to imply that that's a like, oh, they're living like they're rich. I don't know, man. That Mercedes is not $100,000. So what are we even talking about? It's the same person in a dually diesel $100,000 pickup will look at the person in a Mercedes like, oh, they're putting on airs. It's like, I don't know, man. Why not just buy $100,000 Mercedes and pull up to the fucking country store or the gas station in the morning and just see what people say? I don't know. Maybe you'll find out that they might want to drive a nice luxury automobile. Nobody feels like they're free to do so. Maybe before you know it, nobody's driving a pickup truck. Maybe your stupid fucking peer group needs just one person to just say, fuck it, I just like to drive a car, right? As my main automobile. Meanwhile, as long as I have the pickup to drive to work, I'm free to have the charger or whatever for the weekends. That's crazy. What if I just like to drive a car Monday through Friday? Is that so crazy? What's wrong with a car, which also known as the best vehicle for the way most of us do the majority of our driving? It drives the best. Just a regular old car drives the best. A pickup truck drives the worst. Ain't nobody out here flipping their fucking car. I mean, yeah, it happens, but you know, I mean, what is this? It's fucking crazy. Oh, but their personal identity is wrapped up with viewing themselves as what? An American based on what? A pickup truck or an SUV. It's crazy. It's insane. Really? I'm who I am because I drive a pickup truck. Meanwhile, have you seen how small the beds are on these things now? Like, go try to use the fucking bed of your average full size pickup truck. Go try to do a day's work in that thing. How much mulch is going to fit in the back end of that thing? Not much. Oh, now we're towing trailers. Okay. Well, the Mexican with the long bed T100 with a regular cab long bed T100, he ain't towing no goddamn trailer. Because why? Because he's out here doing a job. That's why. He's hauling away trash, or he's, showing up with mulch or whatever in a pickup truck. from the 90s. A regular cab, a long bed pickup. Remember when that was a thing? Every once in a while, I still see one. I'm like, wow, yeah, it's a fucking V6 Ford with just a regular cab with a long bed. Wow, an actual pickup truck that is able to actually do a day's work. Imagine that. But remember, we've had year after year after year of like go rock and dropping fucking a ton of bricks into the back of the truck in slow motion. Are you crazy? That's never happened in the history of the working man. Never has a crane dropped a fucking load of bricks into the back of a fucking pickup truck. It's never happened one time. Only in a goddamn TV commercial in an entire industry that partnered with a government to say, well, actually, we're going to let you have an entire class of vehicles where you're going to be able to make maximum profits, right? You're going to be able to make maximum profits by selling this horrible class of vehicles to the people. And we're going to sell it to them through marketing. And then we're going to do studies and we're going to find out that the most narcissistic, least considerate, worst people in society on some level are going to be the most likely to go and buy these vehicles and just drive them around. Think about that. That's fucking true. Those are all true facts. Studies have been done. Of course, advertising, they knew all of this on the front end. That, yeah, the most self-centered, least considerate people are going to, this is what they're going to buy. The biggest vehicles possible. They want to ride up a higher than everybody, right? If there's an, God forbid there's an accident, they want you smashed to pieces. You know, they're going to laugh at you. You know, part of me driving this little car is I know how to take evasive action. Whoever's driving a full-size pickup truck, most of them don't know how to take evasive action. It doesn't really matter to them. All they're going to do is lock the brakes up and slam into whatever's there. You know, they don't know how to slow down just enough and then, okay, hit the brakes, get off the brakes, make this maneuver, right, and get back on the fuel. I can do that in 1.5 seconds. You know, and steer around danger. Ain't nobody doing that in a full-size truck or a full-size SUV. If they were going to do that, they wouldn't be driving that kind of car in the first place. They don't have the driving skill to even take advantage of, say, a regular old car. Why would they drive a regular old car? Yes, sir, I'm actually going slow. I have no idea how I managed to catch up to you in the first place, Mr. Truck Driver. I'm not sure what has happened here, but I somehow caught you going 65. But pretty pleased with sugar on top. Get the fuck away from me if you don't mind. Now he's slowing down again. He doesn't know what he's doing. Probably thinks he's in California. I don't know. How slow do I have to go to make this happen? I don't know. What is it? How slow do I have to go to get you to get the fuck around me, sir? I don't know, man. Is it 55? I guess it is. Like, I don't know what is this? What's happening? I thought I was just free to go 65 in the middle of the night. I guess not. What do I have to do? DOT. Dot transportation owner operator. Lease op. What do I got to do, man? Now the rest of the traffic's catching me because he can't figure it the fuck out. I don't know, sir. I went 65 and caught your stupid ass, so I'm just going to assume I'm going faster than you. But then I went 80 and passed him. He caught right back up. So I don't know what this is. Now I'm 59 with the flashers on. He ain't hardly leaving me behind. He don't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. We could pull him over and have the game show and say, sir, for $1 million, what happened on the road in the last 15 minutes? He would no fucking idea what happened. Well, first, a car going 65 caught up to you, and then it sped up and passed you. and then it slowed back down to 65, and then you caught up to it and passed it, but it had to slow down to make that happen. And then it turns out it just the whole thing, man. It's just complete insanity. Now I'm going 50. Now I understand we're going up a hill, but damn, is it that much of a hill, right? Like how many times do I have to pass the same truck? I don't know, probably a lot. What do I got to do to just cruise? Probably not possible. Now, part of it is the hills, but that's not all. That's not the entire story. That's part of it. Now we're going downhill. He's going to be right on my ass. So what's the point of even passing? He's going to be on my ass within 90 seconds, just right on my tail with a wide open passing lane. Why not take the passing lane, sir? Why is there just a semi on my ass at the middle of the night? Wide open road. Tailgating me. Oh, be safe. Yeah, okay. Sure. Be safe. Okay, buddy. Sure. Sure, we won't. Almost time to turn. Almost time to plug in the phone. Oh, man. Yeah. All right, I think we're out of here. It's about time to charge the phones. Appreciate everybody tagging along. Thanks for watching. Bye.